You're watching the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network. Now it's time for the Brandon Austen Show.
Hey, welcome in on a Tuesday of draft week. Yeah, the countdown continues. What do we have? 3 days? We continue to talk about the NFL draft. We will do so as we get prepped for Thursday. A little Duval Jags, saying a little Duval. How about that? I love the fact that I got tipped off last night a couple of different times that I wasn't the only one on the whole uniform deal. Somebody in Detroit has now joined the party. If you know my uniform story about way back, I guess somebody else revealed the Houston Texans uniforms mistakenly in Detroit.
Oh, nice.
Yesterday.
You're not alone.
Oh, congratulations to them, and thank you very much. I feel fully exonerated now.
That's good. Somebody else made a mistake.
Sorry, Dolphins fans. That was funny, though. And I do appreciate you guys listening to the show because I had several people reach out to me with that story, which means you were listening at some point when we told that story a couple of weeks ago, I think it was, here on the Brent Austen Show. That is not Austen Lane. I think he's going to join us. I've been hesitant to call him or text him too early. It's Vegas time.
7:01, right?
Yeah, so I figure I'll wait another little bit, although he says he's up early, but we will wait and see and try to get Austin on from Vegas. We'll check in if he can figure out all the technology to do it.
I'm sure he can figure it out.
You think so?
Yeah, he's a smart guy. You would think. I don't know. His phone is kind of tiny.
His
I
phone
forgot
is
about that part.
tiny.
Yeah, he does have the smallest iPhone they've made.
Like,
I might not hear from Austin.
It's
like half of a normal iPhone. So
I think
there.
Apple Watches are now bigger.
Yeah, it's really close. I mean, that phone is microscopic.
And when
it's
you're
really
6'6" and you have the big mitts anyway that Austin has, it looks even smaller.
He could break the phone in his bare hand, no question. Very simply, too, just a little snap.
I mean, I get not going full extent, full technology like everybody else and get the latest, greatest thing. That's cool. I can respect that.
Right.
But I mean, he's borderline flip phone.
Yeah, there's got to be some in between of your giant, massive iPhone and the smallest one they made in which Austin is carrying around.
It's unbelievable.
Yep.
A lot of people will say, I think the iPhone 8 is still one of the great phones they made.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Pretty sure I think it's the 8 that a lot of people say that was their best edition.
Huh.
I guess to each their own. Brent Martineau, that is Casey Kurtz. Rob sitting in today. I don't know if we have a Rob corner. We have a Kim corner. We have a kids corner. We have a Nick in the Day. I don't know if Austin labeled Rob yet. I mean, I think we got time.
We got time.
It's the second time in the chair. So good to have him along. Shock your mock semifinals today. I have to create the videos still.
So we've got some winners, Brent, is what you're telling me.
We do have some winners, and I want to check into how much of our winners are courtesy of just our human psychology.
Uh-huh.
I'll explain.
Please.
A little bit later.
Because I have no idea what that means.
I'll explain a little bit later.
Very good.
When we reveal the winners and also pit them together in the semifinals.
Oh, good.
Before tomorrow's finals and when we crown a champ. Remember, coming up on Thursday, get locked in with your best answer because Thursday we will ask, who are the Jags going to pick? And that could lead to a draft day Donato's pizza party for you if you pick the right person that the Jags take at number 17 or whoever in the first round. And I know there will be multiple, but only one party. So we will have a tiebreaker for that scenario. NHL, NBA playoffs, kind of fun.
Kind of fun, Brent. I mean, the basketball's been either real good or real bad. It seems like there's been blowouts or you get a game like you got last night with the Lakers, which was good. Hockey's been intriguing. So, I mean, I'm happy.
Yeah, I think the Knicks 76ers game
was unbelievable. That
crazy.
Ending was crazy. I would hate to be Justin Kuzar this morning because bro's got to be disappointed. I'm telling you, 6 people got fouled on that play. You had everybody at one point in time on the ground, and the Knicks hit 2 threes in 8 seconds.
Yeah, and Embiid obviously was vocal about that yesterday. We got some complaining going on in the world of sports. Aaron Boone complained, then didn't complain, still got ejected.
That was wild, huh?
It was pretty interesting. If you saw that, there's 6 people at Yankee Stadium to watch the game, so you could hear every fan. And Boone got warned. In the first inning, he got warned. Mm-hmm. And then he was told don't say another word, and then a fan said something, and they ejected Aaron Boone.
Yep. Little mistake made there at Yankee Stadium, but that's okay. Aaron Boone.
I'm always surprised at how light the crowds can be at Yankee Stadium. And I get it was a day game. It's a Monday, like kind of a weird time. It's the Oakland A's.
Yeah, no one's going to that, Brent.
I mean,
they're charging money for that.
I get it, but it's still like Yankee Stadium, and they're in first place, and they have a bunch of star power, and you go to a game on the afternoon. You'd think it would speak to a different crowd that doesn't want to go on like a Monday night at 7 or Tuesday night at 7.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, but, I mean, the Yankees are finally good. I think you've seen this movie before. Oakland's not. So you know what's going to happen. Just save your... I don't know. It's probably expensive to go to a Yankees game, even Monday afternoon.
Yeah, but by that time, you figure people are just giving tickets away. Like if you watch a lot of Yankees games, which I don't, but I mean, if you just like check into them, see their highlights or something, you'll see like the front row stuff right behind home plate. Yeah. A lot of times vacant because that's all like corporate America stuff. Like those seats have to be super expensive.
Sure.
So I kind of get why, even though I think it is silly that some of your premium seats are empty a lot of times.
Yeah, you should at least put just some humans in there, right?
But it is striking. I don't know how much this new Yankee Stadium holds. I can't remember exactly, but like you look at Fenway Park, and Fenway Park is always packed.
Yeah.
You don't see that at Fenway. Why do you see that at New York? Such a big fan base.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the thing with Fenway is when you watch games there, it all feels a lot closer. Like Yankee Stadium, it feels more spread out, and like, in my opinion, like, okay, these are the premier seats, which they are. In Fenway, I get it. They're also expensive down there, but it just feels like everyone's so packed in, it looks like more people.
Yeah, I guess so.
And then,
and maybe because they don't have those premium seats, like
right.
Those are seats of like season ticket holders for years and years, and so those guys already go. That could be the case.
Yeah,
I get it.
I'm trying to find another
interesting
Yankees day game in the middle of the week. I'm struggling.
By the way, you can complain all you want about like Aaron Boone getting ejected. Here's what I thought about for Yankee fans: you should complain about losing to the A's.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
It's baseball, and anything can happen. But you did lose to the A's.
Yeah, they suck. They lost their team.
And the Yankees have been shut out twice in the last 4 days.
Ha-ha! We got them, Brent. The Rays suck. I don't have anything to say.
Anytime I can get a little dig in on the Yankees, we can do that. We like to do that. Tuesday of draft week, and did we get a little bit more of an indication that the Jags are stuck at wide receiver doing whatever they're going to do in the draft? T. Higgins last week or a couple weeks ago, I pretty much think he put okay, you're not coming to get me, even though I'm not happy playing on the tag, I'm going to end up playing on the tag in Cincinnati. Feels like we ruled T. Higgins out of the equation.
Right.
Well, yesterday, John Lynch for the San Francisco 49ers, GM, basically said, we want Brandon Aiyuk to retire a San Francisco 49er.
Yep.
Well, he's like 26, so the chance he retires 49er I don't think is happening.
Very unlikely.
But this was a story we had last week on the show, Casey, where if you went back to the Deebo Samuel signing, and what happened there was, according to some things that I read, that there were offers on the table during the draft week for like the 10th overall pick to trade for Deebo Samuel and then some. So there's some package deal. Mm-hmm. But whoever was willing, I forget who it was at the time, willing to give up a 10th overall pick. And San Francisco was like, nah, we're good. We think we're going to get this deal done with Deebo. We're going to bet on that. And they did. Later that summer, they got the deal done. So that sparked conversation for us like, well, what will it be this year? Do they feel like they're going to get the deal done? If so, will they entertain offers or not? And what will that offer have to look like to get them to be like, okay, we don't feel that good about it? I think what was a great indication yesterday, and maybe not great if you want Brandon Aiyuk and the rest of the league, is that San Francisco thinks they can get this deal done with Aiyuk. They want to get this deal done with Aiyuk. And I would say at this stage, I don't think he's moving before or on draft day.
No, I would agree. I mean, if you believe John Lynch, and he really has no reason to lie when talking about, one of his better players, they want him. They want him badly, even though they're already paying Deebo as much money as they are. They're paying everybody but the quarterback, so I don't know how they're going to make it work. But, I mean, Brent, at the end of the day, you don't have high picks. You never have high picks if you're San Francisco because you always play deep. You gave up a bunch of picks for Trey Lance, so you're not really replacing that guy if you get rid of him, and he's 26 years old. So outside of you got to figure out how to pay him, it really makes no sense that they would get rid of Brandon Aiyuk. It sounds like they're not gonna.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I could see why it would make sense. They are paying a lot of people, but people can make this salary cap work. We're seeing it here in Jacksonville. We've seen it in other places like Philadelphia. We've seen it with the Rams. We've seen it now. We're seeing it with San Francisco. Like the salary cap, they can figure it out if the two parties want to dance. I think what I read into this comment, again, these were just words in print that I was watching. I didn't listen to it or see it. And I think sometimes that takes on different context, but I did read it. And when I read it, I was like, okay, I'm still not sold that Aiyuk's camp is all in, like Lynch is saying. They're all in. But he did say, we've had some good talks. Then there was a little bit about me that was like, well, maybe then maybe then San Francisco here is coming out and being very, hey, we think we're going to get this done to drive the price up even more.
Possibly.
And maybe there's a wink even with the Aiyuk folks like, hey, we're going to try to drive the price up at the very least. So hang with us here and we'll do the best for both parties. But let's see how much we can get for it.
Yeah, I mean,
that could be in play.
Possibly negotiating tool, that's fine. But I don't know. I think if they've done this dance before, right, they did it with Debo, which you mentioned, but if they can get through this, I mean, 1,300-yard receiver, Brent. And like Debo Samuel, the guy that they paid, I get it. He's extremely important to what they do. The last couple of years have not been good to Debo Samuel. So if they actually do trade Brandon Aiyuk and they don't replace him in the draft with whatever pick you assume that they would get there, like that's going to be a problem for them. So I think John Lynch, it's smarter for him if he can get that deal done at a reasonable price to do that rather than move on from him.
Yeah, I think the bottom line is as it sits with the Jags, and I like Aiyuk. I like the idea of Aiyuk. I like the idea of a proven player. You know what I don't like? Paying a receiver like $26, $27 million a year. Not a big fan of that. I think there's a separation between paying a guy $17, $18 million a year and then paying a guy north of $25 million to be a receiver, where receivers are coming out of the woodwork now, like each and every draft, each and every year. I like the idea. If I had my pick, I would obviously like one of these top three guys rather than Aiyuk. Mm-hmm. Now, Higgins to me is a little bit different because he's a different animal, and he's also even a bit younger than Aiyuk.
Yeah, I mean, he's a different player. Like, that's why I think T. Higgins is more appealing for Jacksonville, or at least, I don't know about fans, but in the way they need to play football, I think he's more appealing because Brandon Aiyuk he does a lot of things that Christian Kirk does. Now, again, Brandon Aiyuk was better at it last year. In the last couple of years, that's fine. But he's not big. He's not going to be that guy like T. Higgins, although the numbers are significantly less than Brandon Aiyuk's. I think he plays the style of football that you need to find versus Brandon Aiyuk, who, might be better off in the slot.
All right, so we're done with the Aiyuk Higgins stuff?
Nah, not until they make the pick.
Really?
Yeah.
Going to keep the door open?
Yeah, I think after the A.J. Brown thing, you have to keep the door open. Nobody saw that coming when it happened. Like, he was upset, sure, but I feel like that just kind of came out of nowhere during the draft when that happened. So I think if you're the Jags and Jags fans, yeah, you leave the door open until the Jags make that pick at 17 or if they, trade down, whatever. But I wouldn't say it's looking very good, Brent. I wouldn't say, you're in a great spot if you're wanting one of those two guys, but it still exists.
So is this an overreaction to say the Jags have 5 chances to get a stud receiver, and I think they're going to go 0 for 5? And by the way, when I say chances, I'm not telling you they actually have realistic chances, but 5 names that we've been floating around for months that you'd love to see happen, and it feels like they're not going to get any of them. I mean, the top 3 guys in the draft look like they're going 4, 5, and 6. Maybe we're no worse than 7 or 8. Mm-hmm. Are you going to trade up? Well, it doesn't sound like Trent Baalke wants to do that. Aiyuk looks like, okay, he might be headed back to San Francisco on a major deal, and Higgins is going to play on the franchise tag. Those are your guys. I mean, those are the guys that you had all offseason to go get number 1.
Yeah.
Kind of feels like you're not dead until you're dead, but those deals feel dead to me.
Yeah, I mean, you're definitely not dead until you're dead, but you're pretty close at this point. Life support, I would say. Again, I don't think it's over till it's over, but yeah, it feels like the Jags, for those 5 names, are going to go 0 for 5, which ain't good, Brent. It's not good.
There's only so much you can control. I mean, if you're interested, I feel like they probably did call around on Aiyuk and Higgins. Didn't get anywhere.
Right.
I think they probably have called around and said, and know what it's going to take to get up to number 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, whatever it is, to get one of these top guys. I think they've explored it. I just don't think they're going to jump at it. And so that leaves now the Brian Thomases of the world or I mean, Duval Jag said, did you see Chris Sims' mock draft where he had Odunze fall after the Jags at 17 and they picked Wiggins instead?
I don't think that's going to
I think he's just trying to make Jacksonville crazy. I don't think they would be passing on Odunze.
That would be wild.
In this, so you're helping Duval Jags. You're helping Chris Sims get engagement farming, as it's called, I guess.
Engagement farming.
I like that.
That's not bad.
I like. We need to do more engagement farming.
Yeah, this mock draft is questionable, by the way. But yeah, there it is. Nate Wiggins. Shout out.
Really?
Yep. Yeah, this is.
Did he do anything else crazy in the top 15, 16?
Yeah. So you've got Bowden Hicks at 12, Michael Penix at 13, Drake May at 11.
11.
Yep. And then Minnesota comes up to 3 to get J.J. McCarthy, and then Marvin Harrison goes at 4. The quarterbacks at the top. But yeah, a whole bunch of quarterbacks, edge players going in not Jared Verse, but Dallas Turner, and then the guy from UCLA in the top 10 as well. A guard at 10. So, some wild stuff happening.
Who did Tennessee take in his mock?
Tennessee took. Where's Tennessee? They took J.C. Latham, offensive tackle from Alabama.
I think Tennessee's pretty fascinating here.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, when you're, and I know they beat the Jags there at the end, but when you're that kind of bad and starting over, there's a ton of places you can go, but their offensive line is terrible, Brent. I mean, we did that a lot last year. They did that a lot. They played how many different people at tackle? It was just a mess. So to me, it feels like that makes a lot of sense. I know they went offensive line in the first round last year, which hasn't really worked out for them yet. But if one of the receivers is there, I think you consider it. But other than that, I think trying to protect Will Levis, because you got to figure out if Will Levis is good if you're Tennessee.
Yeah, so how do you figure out if he's good? Do you do what Joe Burrow and the Bengals did and go get him a weapon in one of these 3 guys, or do you go protect him?
I would protect him, because if you go the Joe Burrow route, you're going to miss a whole year somewhere along the line because he's going to tear his knee up.
Yeah, and I think that's probably the thinking, but you got a Callahan who came from Cincinnati.
True. Maybe not. Yeah, maybe he's willing to let his guy get hurt like they did last time. I don't know. The way that, because Levis moves too. That's the thing. So I feel like, yes, you need receivers, but I mean, he's already putting himself in danger a good amount of times, not to the extent of a Lamar Jackson who runs a ton, but I think offensive line's the way to go there.
Yeah, I think they're fascinating. I think whatever whatever the Titans do could really impact a lot of things in this draft, including can you trade up to number 8 with Atlanta if the receiver's still on the board? Do they take offensive tackle? Are they willing to go second offensive tackle if the Chargers go offensive tackle? Or could they go a defensive player? I don't think they're going to go defensive player, but
defensive player would be shocking.
Yeah, that'd be a little surprise. But they could get the best defensive player in the draft,
possibly.
So you could sell it that way.
By the way, Colts in here taking Brock Bowers in this mock.
Yeah,
from Chris Sims.
Be fascinating to see if at 14 he's still available or something, and they trade up ahead of Indianapolis to get a Brock Bowers. Would you trade up a couple of spots to get Bowers? Would the Jags be interested in doing that? I kind of think no. But I think you have to think about it.
Yeah, I don't think you really want Brock Bowers going to Indianapolis, though. So, if you can avoid that, that would be probably a good thing.
Yeah. So anyway, I think those guys, there's just so much in front of the Jags that can happen, which I just continue to come back to. This is a fascinating draft for the Jacksonville Jaguars because of so many different directions. I think they can take 3 different players. I think right now I'm leaning toward the way this thing shakes out. I think they're going to take a pass rusher. I really do. And because I would just say, you tweeted it out yesterday or shared some of our show, I still think it's the most under-talked about thing of this cycle for the Jags. And not to say they're going to do the thing that nobody expects. I'm not predicting it that way. I think it's a little bit illogical we haven't had more discussion, or most people aren't talking more about pass rusher. To me, it's a very logical play for the Jags to do that. I think receiver more and more is getting left off the board, which means do they even pick them in the first couple of picks now? Do they like any of the receivers in the second round? Will they trade back to go get a guy at number 24 because they're all bunched up there? Or will they trade up from 48 to 36 because they like a guy? There's a lot in play. I think these I'm as fascinated with this draft, I've been saying that for weeks now with the Jags, as I've been in a long time. Mm-hmm. I think it's easy when you're in the top 10 because now you can really start connecting dots. I mean, if you're sitting there and we're doing this show in Nashville, and you're the Titans, you can really connect dots. Like there's maybe 2 players, 3 players on the board that make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
The Jags, first of all, I think there are 3 positions, and some would argue a 4th or maybe even a 5th position that makes sense for them. So that means player-wise, there's probably like 15 players based off everybody's mock drafts and the cycle and the groupthink and everything else that come into play and could be interesting. So, and there's other teams that you just don't know what they're going to do. Like we think we know what Arizona's going to do. I think the Chargers are fascinating.
Atlanta,
do they want to do anything at number 8? I think we just said Tennessee. I think Chicago, everybody thinks they're going to go get Caleb Williams more weapons, but they could get the best defensive player as well. They also could trade out of that spot, and the word in the last week was that they were willing to listen and trade out of that spot.
Jets.
How true is that? Yeah, the Jets feel like, to me, Brock Bowers feels like the play for the Jets.
Yeah, their offensive line, though. I mean, that's
rough.
rough.
They fixed it. They brought some people in this offseason to kind of,
I mean,
at
you
least
could probably use
like
young, good players, though, huh? But, I mean, listen, and Chris Sims in this has Drake May going 11. You really think the Jets are passing on Drake May if that somehow falls in their lap?
Yeah, that'd be...
After last year, and now Zach Wilson's gone, so...
But you're going to take a pick? I mean, you're all in with Aaron Rodgers. You're going to take a pick and just put him on the bench? Might be the best scenario.
I mean, probably is the best scenario. I mean, the Drake May thing is wild to me. Like, I think Drake May's really good. I think Drake May's, like, extremely talented. I'm still stunned that... And I understand how good Jaden Daniels was last year and all of that. That's fine. I can't believe Drake May is not going to go second. Like, it really just shocks me.
Yeah, I said that a couple weeks ago on the show. I was like, when did I miss it? Jaden Daniels totally passed Drake May. Like, this isn't even a debate anymore, right? I mean, the only debate is Jaden Daniels, can he handle being at a visit with 3 other quarterbacks at the same time?
Right.
Like, that's the debate. Like, when did that happen?
I don't know. I get it. He won the Heisman. He had a great season. Don't get me wrong. The numbers were like close to what Burrow did, but I just think Drake May's better. Like I understand the numbers don't say that this year, but I think just watching him, and I think he translates to the NFL better. I could be wrong. I've been wrong before. But
well, yeah, I think this is general. You know, you're getting the information out of the combine and everywhere else now where GMs and scouts are talking. So I think the Drake May stuff is real. I think he's definitely slipped, because I think everybody just had him pegged as the number 2 guy right behind Caleb Williams. I think that's why there was a little bit of curiosity even about Caleb Williams for a bit.
Yeah.
Because everybody just had him there automatically, and then he had a rough little year and some things that get your attention or raise some red flags.
Sure.
YB400, I think I'm just missing it now in the chat, but he said, what did I see him say? He wanted, Jared Verse at 17 and then like Leggett or TJ Tampa in the second round. I like all those guys. I thought the Tampa thing when we did that, I think he's more zone fit from a corner standpoint. Does that bother you? I don't know, but just a little bit of a note. And then he also says the talent in this draft is incredible. There'll be a lot of trades in this draft. And I could see that, and I get the logic there, because you can go back and get another guy 5 spots later on. Or I think we've seen more trades anyway in these first round over the last handful of years. Does that speak to talent? Does that speak to need? Will it be a crazy, eventful first round here on Thursday with a bunch of trades? I could see that playing out.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think I think YB's right. There's a lot of like really talented guys. And I think maybe more than ever, you've got a lot of teams that are good or decent that might be a player or 2 away from having not being a Super Bowl contender, but being a playoff contender team. So I think when you have this much talent in the draft and you've got so many teams that are at least thinking that, they might have a shot here, I think that adds in trades and makes all that stuff real and has potential, Brent. And when you talk about trading in the draft, and you brought up Devin Lloyd yesterday when they traded back in to get him, I'm trying to find, so 2 mock drafts today. One is Chris Sims, one's Eric Edholm from NFL Network. But the point is, Chris Sims has Jared Verse at 26, and Eric Edholm has Jared Verse at 27.
Wow.
So I don't know if that's real or what that looks like, but if Jared Verse is more falling towards back end of the first round guy, maybe you could make another move like you did with Devin Lloyd, make your pick at 17, then come back and get a Jared Verse.
Why is he falling? Or at least in these mocks? Like, is this just a product of offensive guys being shoved to the top? Or
Is
there more to it?
there's probably more to it, would be my guess. But when you do have all these offensive guys, like at some point you are going to get that run on corners, right? So when you talk about all the offensive players that are going to go, then you're going to get, 4 or 5 corners that are going to go. I'm seeing Bo Nix in the first round of this mock draft, so maybe another quarterback or two gets going. Like, maybe just run out of positions here, Brent. Like, everyone needs offensive line help, it feels like. So I'm sure there's more to it with Verse. His numbers were better the year before. There is that. But I can't imagine this guy getting down to like 27, 28 when you're talking about teams like the Ravens or San Francisco. San Francisco probably won't pick him, but those teams being in the conversation for him is just wild to me.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where the Verse stuff is coming from, but I've seen him a lot too, like way down, not way down, but more like 21, 19. A lot of drafts have him available for the Jags at 17, and that's why I still have a feeling, man, if Verse is available at 17, are the Jags going to pass him up?
Maybe they can get him later.
Well, then, and maybe there's more to it. That's my point, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know if he could drop to 17 because of a run on quarterbacks, offensive players, all that. You don't drop to 27 because of that.
Yeah, I hear you.
I don't think. But to YB's point, too, you could just be looking at a super talented draft where people fall in love with a position, what fits need. The run on offensive players we think is going to be record-breaking. So that is going to shove better defensive players down the board. I still think, though, like if I've got here's the way I'm thinking about it. If you've got corners and you've got the second or third, let's just say a corner or two already off the board at 17. So now you're like playing with the 3rd through 6th, 7th options, and they're all in this mix. And Jared Verse is there. To me, that's a better football player you're getting at a premium position, and really a more premium position.
Yeah.
And in a position for the Jaguars especially that you have very little depth, as we discussed yesterday. So just Verse alone is fascinating to see where he could go and why he would fit with the Jags. And do we like him because we've seen him? But remember, this is a guy that was linked to be a top 10, top 12 pick for the last 2 years. People were surprised he was even coming back to school last year.
Yep.
And I don't think he really did anything to hurt his stock by coming back.
No, he was fine. I mean, he wasn't like unbelievably fantastic, but he was fine, Brandon. It looks like the couple of things that I'm reading here, it sounds like scouts think he's going to be like a step short of being like the huge sack producer guy. So I guess there is, question about putting up the massive sack numbers. But I mean, it says right here he's tough, tone-setting edge, but they're just question if he can get there consistently enough to put up like 15 sack seasons.
A high bar.
Well, sure. I mean, but it's a first-round pick.
It's a first-round pick, but I think we've got to be, when you pick in, especially you're starting to go off the second part of the first round, your expectation to get 15 sacks versus 10 sacks or 8, like to be a Jan guy where you're averaging like 8, 9 sacks a year is pretty good at that stage.
For sure. I think that I would say, I guess that's what is pushing him down, because if you were talking about this guy as like a top 10, top 15 pick, like one would think you do need to be sure that guy's going to give you the production, the double-digit sacks early in his career, maybe not the first year, obviously, but early in his career, and maybe that's what's pushing him down.
Do you think people are more interested? Let me hold this out for when we come back. We'll take a break. But do you think people are more interested in jumping up and getting a receiver or a quarterback in this draft? I would imagine there's more value in a trade to go get a quarterback because of the value of the position, but I wonder if there's more interest and more phone calls going on right now to go get one of these top 3 receivers rather than to go get J.J. McCarthy or a Drake May that might slip or somebody else.
Yeah.
And that's very unusual, by the way. Like, it's easy to say that here because we don't care about quarterback. But think about that around the National Football League. Usually, this is why Sims does this crazy mock draft, because he's like, everybody's going to jump up and get a quarterback. Well, that's because that's what happens. Not everybody jumps up and gets wide receivers. So think about that. We'll come back. We'll talk a little bit about it. We'll also have a conversation with Roy Robertson-Harris. Marcel caught up with him. And don't forget, we are just days away now from our draft night in Duval special. You can see it on TV at 7 o'clock until 8 o'clock. We'll have, word is, Tony Baselli and Travis Etienne live on that show.
Nice.
That'll be on Fox 30, of course. And we start our day with the Brent Austen Show live from the stadium, 10 a.m. until 1 p.m. And then we have coverage all day long on social media and on the TV side. And our entire Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network, our coverage this week of the draft presented by Everbank Advantage U. We'll be back on the Brent Austen Show. You can find the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network on the Action News Jacks app and actionnewsjacks.com. Everyone loves a good game night. Here you don't have to be the host. You don't have to clean up. They bring the food and drinks to you, and you can watch whatever you want on the big screens. It's more than a card room. It's a night full of fun with friends. Best Bet Jacksonville, Orange Park, and now the newest location here in St. Augustine, right off 95 at exit 311. A brand new clean room, a full bar and menu, my favorite sushi in town. And I love the fries too. You don't have to just play poker at Best Bet. That's why I come over here to the table games and play one card poker. That's a pretty good card and a win. One card poker is like war as a kid, you against the dealer. And this isn't the only fun table game to play. A friendly staff, a lot of fun. It's a good night out at Best Bet Jacksonville, Orange Park, and the newest location in St. Augustine. You can be a serious player or a novice. It doesn't matter. If winning equals fun, you're a winner every time at Best Bet. I'll save you a seat, and I'll see you down here at Best Bet St. Augustine.
Do you have ugly concrete around your home or business? Are you tired of concrete that is cracked, stained, or just plain ugly? Spartan Coatings' range of products provides a surface that is non-porous, easy to clean, antibacterial, and slip-resistant, all with superior durability.
Living in Florida nearly my whole life, I know the toll our weather can take on a garage floor. That's why I had Matt and the crew from Spartan Coatings transform this space. And the best part, they did it in one day.
It was a professional process from step one. The polyurea and polyaspartic system provides superior flexibility, is 4 times stronger than epoxy coatings, and will withstand temperatures high and low. Plus, it comes with a 20-year warranty. Whether it's a garage floor, patio, pool deck, driveway, or your interior flooring, Spartan Coatings has you covered. To get started transforming your ugly concrete surfaces, call 904-671-3930 or visit SpartanCoatings.com today for your free quote.
I like to say everybody has a story, and sometimes we're a part of other people's stories. That's the case here at Nimnicht Buick GMC. My family and the Nimnicht family. We've purchased 6 different vehicles from Nimnicht Buick GMC. Maybe you're in the market for a truck. Well, let me tell you about the GMC Sierra. I absolutely love mine. I've had a couple of these. This one's a 2020, but right now on 2024 GMC Sierras here at Nimnicht Buick GMC, there's special financing. A year ago, we purchased a GMC Terrain for the kids. Financing rates as low as 0.9% for eligible buyers on Terrains and no payments for 90 days. Looking for used instead of new? Buy a used car with the Car Bravo program. Nimnicht Buick GMC certifies all makes and models. Let the #1 Buick GMC dealer in Jacksonville take care of you and your family. Come on out and see the showroom, meet the fantastic people, or shop online at nimnichtbuickgmc.com. Nimnicht, your friends in the car business since 1941. GMC, we are professional grade.
Thank you for making Action News Jacks the best in Jacks and Folio's Best of Jacks 2023. Best TV station, Best TV newscast, Best TV morning show. Chandler Morgan voted Best TV anchor. The Chief, Mike Burrish, voted Best meteorologist. And Brent Martineau voted Best TV sports anchor. And while you're on the go, Best news website and Best local blog, The Burrish Blog. Thank you for making Action News Jacks local coverage you can count on.
It's a new logo, new branding, but with Bold City Heating and Air, it's an old school approach. One of the few locally owned and operated air conditioning businesses left in Jacksonville. And with that comes the perks we miss in the big business world. It's every customer counts kind of service, from when these trucks have pulled up to my home over the last couple of years and when they pull into your driveway as well. From communication to pricing to the actual service, everyone at Bold City Heating and Air cares about you. You know who's coming to your house. You know they will be well trained. And they will respect your home. Air conditioning convenience at BoldCityAC.com. The folks at Bold City Heating and Air also know your AC unit is important and can be a big expense. That's why they have financing to help. No payments, no interest for 12 months on new systems. $50 off any repairs. Stay safe, stay comfortable with Bold City Heating and Air at boldcityac.com. Homegrown in your hometown. Bold City Heating and Air.
When you think sports, you think Action Sports Jacks, the official station of the Jaguars, on location for every game. But the most experienced team in town doesn't stop there. From high school football to the big events in the area, Action Sports Jacks is always on. Now, we take that to a new level. Action Sports Jacks 24/7 is around-the-clock coverage of the teams you love and the moments you can't miss. The best local sports in Jacksonville on Action Sports Jacks 24/7.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austen Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network.
There's a look at the stadium, and if you've been watching with us, you can see now that staging is being set here on the west side. East side. That's the east side of the stadium, where the stage will be set up and the draft party will happen. And right down there, we'll have a little interview set right there. And we're going to do our show from the club area on the west side. So it'll be a fun night on Thursday. Weather looks fantastic all week. We've had beautiful weather here overall the last few weeks in Jacksonville, and I think that's going to stay with us through the rest of the week. So that is good. Lovely day in Northeast Florida. Brent Martineau, Casey Kurtz in for Austen Lane, Brent Austen Show, and we'll check in with Austin hopefully from Vegas as he's getting ready for his big fight on Saturday. Really the latest domino to fall, at least from a Jags perspective, that it feels like in the draft week news is Brandon Aiyuk looking more and more like he'll stay with San Francisco if you believe what John Lynch said yesterday at a news conference, where I don't really know why you wouldn't believe it. So we're going to believe it.
Yeah, might as well.
And it looks less and less likely that the Jags, all these guys we talked about, Higgins, Aiyuk, and now those three at the top, from Odunze to Harrison to Neighbors, which all were going to be difficult anyway to get, are really not going to be on the table for the Jags at 17 or even moving up. There's a really good chance, in my opinion, that they go 4, 5, and 6 in the draft, which moving up to 4, 5, and 6 is different than moving up to like 8 or 9. Mm-hmm. Like that's significantly more expensive, in my opinion. But I asked this question before we went to break. Don't you get the sense that there are more people in play or interested or phone calls being made about these receivers and seeing how people feel about them and what it would cost than are in play for a quarterback, meaning what if Drake May falls, or J.J. McCarthy especially has been the guy that people calling, if any?
Yeah, I think it's a good point, because it's not even really 3 receivers, in my opinion, because you're not getting Marvin Harrison Jr. Like, it feels like Arizona is going to sit there and make that pick, right? So
it does, yeah.
You're taking that guy off the table. So really there's only 2 guys that you can go if you're talking about the top 2 at the wide receiver position. And I think the team that you have to be looking at is like the Giants or even the Titans potentially in this spot, because what are the Giants? Like, everyone thinks they're going to take receiver if they're there. Are they?
They take quarterback?
They could, like, depending on how it plays out, right? If no one goes and gets J.J. McCarthy and you're sitting there, maybe you do. Tennessee, they need a lot of help. So the idea that they could get a lot of picks back for this one pick at 7 if one of the receivers is sitting there, I could see them being interested in that, because they've got plenty of holes that they could fill throughout the next couple of years. You got a new coach, so you're kind of starting over anyway. So those 2 teams are interesting to me, Brent. So yeah, if you're one of the teams that's looking for one of those big deal receivers and you take Harrison out, then I think there's more intrigue there, because Chicago's staying where they are, Washington's staying where they are. And don't you feel like New England kind of has to stay where they are? Because what else are they going to do?
Yeah, I think they have to. Like, it makes no sense that they go get a receiver or somebody, right?
Or I don't think they trade the pick. Like, they need a lot of help too. I get that. But again, I just told you I think Drake May's good. So, like, I would not trade out of that, and I'd pick Drake May if I was sitting there, if I was New England. But it just feels like there's smoke that they might pass on quarterback. I don't know how they do.
Yeah, I think they're taking quarterback. I think they pretty much have to take quarterback. If you look at the draft order again, and you go, Chicago's taking Caleb Williams, Washington's taking quarterback, Patriots we think's taking quarterback, Harrison's taken at number 4 by the Cardinals. The draft starts at number 5.
I'd agree with that.
And with that draft starting at number 5, I think the Chargers are interesting. Offensive line or receiver. They just got rid of. Now, this is who's going to win here, Herbert or Harbaugh? Harbaugh's a big player guy. So he might, for Herbert's sake, say, hey, listen, you've been banged up. I want to protect you. I'm not lying. We build this thing from inside out. That's what I believe in philosophically.
Yeah.
And I can protect you. Herbert's like, yeah, but I need a guy to throw to.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's a question there. Like Herbert, he's been through, and last year he finally got hurt seriously where he couldn't play games. But you remember the year before they punctured his lung, all this stuff, or the whatever was wrong with him.
He's had something the last couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, before the Jags game, there was something wrong with his lung or something, and he shouldn't have played.
Rib,
probably.
I think it was a rib.
That's what it was. So yeah, I think it's a no-brainer that if Joe Alt's sitting there, you take him.
Yeah,
I think that just makes a lot of sense. And also, if you're Justin Herbert, I don't know. I think he's rare in the point where you're making guys like receivers. I understand that they got rid of all their guys, but I think that he can make those guys better, and that's what you have to count on if you're Harbaugh, because I think you have to take the tackle.
Yeah, I think so too. I think they're going to have to do that. Now, maybe they should have done more in free agency, I guess, receiver-wise. I don't think
instead of getting rid of all their ones, maybe they should have kept one. Yeah, that's possible.
But it's a start, and when you're starting, again, Harbaugh's looking at this as a young quarterback, but still a fresh start in building this thing. He's going to build on trenches. I think they end up going offensive line. I think it makes the most sense.
But yeah, I do too. But also, Brent, and I assume they have their second-round pick. If they don't, then no, they do. So they're picking 37. Like, again, you're not getting one of the top 3. You can get a receiver at 37.
Yeah,
there's going to be guys there that can make an impact for you.
The Giants, I think, are really interesting. Do they want to protect Daniel Jones? Do they want to get him a weapon? Neighbors has been a guy they've been linked to for a long time. Do they go get their future quarterback in a J.J. McCarthy?
It's interesting. I think J.J. McCarthy has to be in play if you're them. Because, what outside of the 1 year where you paid Daniel Jones, which wasn't good, you didn't see anything last year. And the way that the Giants play football, what really makes you think that them getting a receiver is going to help? I get it, it will, but when do the Giants ever go downfield? That's something he doesn't have time to go downfield, and now they don't have a run. So I get why you would go receiver because you want to help Daniel Jones, but honestly, is it really going to help?
Yeah. So let's assume that they take offensive line.
Okay.
Which I really think your next play could be quarter. I agree with you. I think receiver doesn't seem like a great play for them.
No.
For now or down the road. I think offensive line and quarterback are better plays or down the road especially, but maybe even now. Because there's a chance Daniel Jones fizzles out to the point where McCarthy's in there halfway through the year, but you also get the luxury of grooming the guy. You have no pressure right away. Well, you kind of have a little pressure, but you don't have as much pressure. You're paying a guy $40 million, so you get the situation that Kansas City had, Green Bay has had, some of these teams has had. You're creating that situation where you can do something the league doesn't allow you to do anymore and sit the quarterback down for a little bit. Now, do you think he's any good? Do you think he's worth the 6th overall pick? I think that's certainly questionable and debatable. If that happens, one of those 2 picks, then the Titans, I think, are left taking a receiver, right? Because the 2 offensive linemen are off the board.
Yeah, if the offensive linemen are off the board, the tackles are gone, then yeah, I mean, you got to. They need a lot of help. So especially if McCarthy's gone, because then you got nobody really coming up for quarterback. So yeah, you sit there, you take the receiver, and then we all get annoyed in Jacksonville.
Well, it's not that annoying, though, because there's one receiver left on the board and Atlanta's picking, and that's what I'm talking about here. The phone really is ringing off the hook in Atlanta because you've still got Harrison's gone, and let's assume
Neighbors.
They take a Dunze in Tennessee. So you got Neighbors still out there.
Okay.
All right? And it might be Neighbors they take, but let's just for this argument.
Sure.
Let's and maybe it's safer to pick, say, Adunze is available because he's been a guy that's been kind of all over.
Yep.
So we'll say Adunze is available at number 8. How many people are calling the Atlanta Falcons? The Jags probably should make a call and see what it's worth.
Yep.
The Bears might be trying to get ahead just by a pick.
Yep.
To do it.
Jets.
The Jets. You think so?
Yeah. I mean,
especially knowing the tackles are off the table.
If the tackles are, what else are you going to do?
You can sit there with Brock Bowers. Do you need to move?
If you probably don't have to move for Bowers.
Who'd they pick up? They picked up Mike Williams, right?
Yes.
So they got Wilson and Williams?
If you're all in, maybe not. I don't know. If you're trying to win with Aaron Rodgers, you might as well. You know what I mean? Like, that's the thing. Are you actually going to do the smart thing if you're the Jets? The smart thing would be, again, if there's no quarterback there, then that's fine. Maybe pick offensive line. But if you're just trying to win because you got Aaron Rodgers and you've already kind of made this mistake, if you will, you might as well draft a receiver and go for it.
Yeah. I could see them sticking at Brock Bowers. I could see them getting receiver. I could see them, to your point, if McCarthy's still available, maybe they go there and get their next guy. The Vikings are a team, obviously, that looks like, let's just say McCarthy's still available. They could certainly be in play for McCarthy. The Broncos, are they going to go get Bo Nix? They're not getting receiver.
Who knows? Bo Nix would be high there, huh? I mean, that's what Chris Sims has, but
Raiders as well. Like, they could be in the market for a quarterback. You could see, my point here is you could start to see things like that's why Atlanta's going to be the key piece. Because somebody's trading up to get a Dunze in that spot.
Yes.
Either 8 or 9. Or Chicago's taking him. So he's not getting past 9?
It feels like Chicago would take him, yeah.
Yeah.
You would think. So, yeah, I guess.
Because if he got by Chicago, let's just say then he could get all the way to 14.
Yes, realistically. Yeah, the Saints. He could. And then if 14, it's a no-brainer. But, yeah, it feels
But that's where you're moving up, right? You're trading with the Broncos. Like, who the hell's taking quarterbacks? So now you can trade with the Broncos.
Yeah, it feels like if you're trading up 7 or 8, but you're not the Jags aren't trading with Tennessee, so really you're talking about 8.
8's the spot.
Yeah.
8's the spot, or 9 if Chicago's willing.
It just feels, why would they be? I mean, they need to help Caleb Williams in that way. You get a young receiver to pair with him. We've talked about it here in Jacksonville. Like, it just makes too much sense. And let's say that for some reason they don't want to do that, and you sit at 9, you still at this point, depending on what happens at 8, you might get the number 1 defensive player on your board.
That's true, too.
So you could get the number 1 offensive and defensive player at 9, 1 and 9.
So if you look at 8, by the way, let's go back to 8 in Atlanta. I think Chicago would be interested in that. I also think not just the Jags would be interested in that, but I think a team like Indianapolis could be interested in that and trading up and going to help and get more weapons for Anthony Richardson. I think the Bengals don't make a lot of sense to me here unless they want to move like T. Higgins and go get their next guy.
Yeah, it don't have to happen at the same time.
I don't think the Rams, I think they're pretty much set there. The Steelers are a team that could move, but they're not an aggressive team usually in the draft. They don't usually move up. So I'd be surprised if they did. The Dolphins, no. I don't think the Eagles, who's there picking again? The Vikings, and then the Cowboys. I mean, then you're getting into everybody. But my point is, I think there are going to be a lot of calls for that 8th pick, and I think there's a really good chance a Dunze or Neighbors are on the board. And I don't think the Falcons are going to take that.
No, the Falcons have the thing they've had for 3 years now. Plenty of offensive pieces can't get in the ball.
Yeah.
You need to get Drake
London
London the ball.
And they got that with Cousins.
You're right. You got to get Pitts the ball. You got to get Bijan the ball. And now you finally have someone to do that. Don't muddy it up. Like, either protect Kirk Cousins or go get, at 8, definitely the best defensive player of the draft. Whoever you want.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So I think it's doable for the Jags if they wanted to move up to that spot. I think they're going to have competition. And maybe the best competition is a team that's ahead of them because then Atlanta doesn't have to slide as far back. So the Colts, to me, in Chicago become very big players depending on what they're willing to give up. Because I probably think in the Colts, if I'm Atlanta, ideally, because I only have to drop back to number 15, I can get a better player at that spot, maybe the best corner in the draft at that spot.
Definitely.
Chicago is certainly a possibility, but I'm probably not collecting much by moving back just one spot.
Right.
And then the Jags, I think, would be in play. Outside of that, you're giving up a boatload to get ahead if you're like the Buffalo Bills, right? Who have also been linked to trying to replace their receivers.
Yeah, I mean, they need help at that spot, but
I don't think they have a lot of capital either, though.
No, they don't. It doesn't feel like they would.
I don't think they do. So anyway, I think that's what happens at number 8. I think the draft starts at number 5 right now, in my opinion. I think we know what's going to go on in the first 4. And then do you get to number 8 with still one of those big receivers on the board? Fascinates me. And then where do the defensive guys start coming off the board is another fascination because, again, even at 17, the Jags, or if they want to move to 13 or 12, which, of course, has been rumbled around, now you could get maybe the second best defensive player in the draft.
Oh, yeah, very possible.
13. Just crazy to me how this draft is shaken out and some of the possibilities that exist with the Jacksonville Jaguars. So We'll see what happens there. Hey, speaking of quarterbacks, Zach Wilson traded to the Broncos. You surprised he was traded for anything?
Yeah, I'm surprised that they actually sent anything for him. The Broncos, what a disaster, though, huh? Like, I understand, I guess, acquiring Zach Wilson because, if you want to be the smartest guy in the room, like Sean Payton, it feels like is, you say, oh, I can turn him into something. Okay, fine. But the rest of their quarterback room, like, what's the plan here? If not that I really care about the Denver Broncos, but like their quarterback room, they don't have a guy. Like, you've got Jared Stidham, sure, I guess, Zach Wilson, and then there's somebody else that their name escapes me. But the point is, what are you doing there? So Ben DiNucci is the other guy. Like Ben DiNucci, Jared Stidham, Zach Wilson. What? Who's playing quarterback for them? And then you're going to draft somebody and put him in that room? It's mind-blowing to me.
I like this for Zach Wilson. I like this for the Broncos.
Yeah.
I think this this is like low risk.
Oh, there's no risk, no.
And so why not take a flyer on it? But what's interesting here is how often do the flyers work out? Like Sam Darnold, Carolina took a flyer with. Thought that could work out. Really hasn't. He's now a journeyman guy who's just backing up everybody.
Baker Mayfield on the Bucs.
Baker Mayfield is really like the only one seemingly that has worked out. Trey Lance of the Cowboys, he's stuck.
Yep.
Mac now is stuck in Jacksonville, at least for now. To be honest with you, the one guy that's worked out, but it's not a first pick, second chance. It's really like a guy like Gardner Minshew.
Yeah.
Like that's the one that's worked out, along with Baker Mayfield. But these things don't usually work out.
No.
Where you get a second chance when your first one failed.
Although this will be and not a lot of these guys are going to play this year, but this will be one that you can kind of judge because you've got, this is the fourth guy now this year that's been traded on like a flat, like Zach Wilson, Justin Fields, Kenny Pickett, and I guess Mac Jones, but Mac Jones was never going to play. But like, you're right, you don't have a lot of examples of those guys working out, but you've now seen it happen 4 times this offseason, Trey Lance last year, so this will be probably a good example of if these guys ever can actually make it work. Again, they're all going to have to earn playing time. Like if Justin Fields wants to play, he's going to have to jump Russell Wilson. Kenny Pickett's not going to play in Philly. But you're seeing it this offseason that maybe one of those guys will turn something around.
Yeah, I think so the bottom line is like, does it work? Okay, Baker Mayfield. But Baker Mayfield worked like on his 4th team. So I think
didn't work immediately.
Geno Smith worked like years later.
True.
Right?
Geno
so what I think we're seeing in some of these examples work, even Minshew. Minshew went to Philadelphia, then went to Indianapolis, now gets the lottery ticket, at least for him, in Las Vegas.
Yep.
So when you're talking about working, like it doesn't work where you go to next.
No, usually, it has taken some time, yeah.
So, like, I think Mac Jones right now is in a really good situation. I actually think Justin Fields could be in a really good situation, too. And partly because I think those guys aren't as bad as their teams giving up on them indicate. I think Justin Fields is
I do too.
way better than I guess Chicago thought he was. And maybe the league thinks he is, which means maybe I'm wrong. But he's also going to get a chance to sit back, relax. Russell Wilson, Mike Tomlin, they continue to build pieces around. Might walk into a good situation a year or 2 down the road and be ready to go. You look at Mac, I think he's in a great spot. Get away from New England, get pressure off him. Get in a spot where you're working with Doug Peterson, Mike McCoy, Press Taylor, Trevor Lawrence. Like, these guys have pretty good track records. And, I mean, Mike McCoy and Doug Peterson alone, being around those guys, not bad.
Definitely.
Not a bad place to come learn, resurrect your career, do things the right way, no pressure, take a deep breath, and then go sign somewhere next year or in another 2 years get an opportunity because somebody gets hurt or whatever else. I could see Mac coming out on the other side of this. I always say this about Mac. My biggest problem with him is he doesn't move well, and I think that's becoming more and more of an issue in the NFL. But I think Justin Fields and Mac have a chance. I don't know if Trey Lance has a chance. Like, he's just not playing any football. Like, when you haven't played a lot of football and you're not playing a lot of football, that's a bad recipe to ever be playing any good football.
Yeah, he really hasn't played football in like 5 years, 6 years.
He hadn't even played in college.
Yeah, he hasn't really played since high school. Like, it's wild.
That's hard. That's hard.
There's probably no coming back.
I say this all the time right now, like in the college world. Like if you're a baseball player or a basketball player or whatever, and you're trying to go to this big school and you go sit for like 2 years. It's one thing to sit for 1 year. That's pretty natural. If you go for 2 years, now you start like getting out of it too much.
Yeah.
Like you got to go play somewhere, I think, sooner or later. And that's probably the case with even playing the quarterback position or probably any position. So is there hope for any of these guys? Well, Zach Wilson, the trend would say no.
Probably not.
But he also has he has some skills.
Yeah.
You don't get drafted number 2 overall without skills. I think almost the change of scenery going back to that side of the country where he had some success
might help.
I think Peyton. Now, can he handle Peyton? Is he mature enough to handle Peyton?
True.
I don't know. Is Peyton mature enough to handle Zach Wilson? I don't know.
Probably not.
And is he going to be placed in a good situation the next time he gets on the football field? I don't know, because he really wasn't placed in a good spot in New York.
No.
But I feel like there's a little bit of a chance, probably in a Sam Darnold kind of way, ironically both with the Jets, that if he gets on and gets in a good spot and he takes a back seat long enough or just the right amount of time, I wonder if he really can come out of this on the other side. I think Fields and Mac Jones can. I don't think Trey Lance is going to.
No. Listen, Zach Wilson at times last year, and I say this loosely, but at times he did some things, right? It didn't look always terrible. Their offensive line was bad. Like, there were games where this dude was getting hit on every play. Like, it was just not good for Zach Wilson. Now, I'm not sitting here saying that, he can be great, but if you put him in a situation, again, like you thought you were going to have with the Jets last year, where he can sit behind Aaron Rodgers, I think you've got a chance. But the problem is, go back to earlier point, who's he sitting behind? Jared Stidham? What are you learning from Jared Stidham? Like, that's not a situation that Zach is going to learn anything, because the only thing you can do now is draft somebody who's then going to be looking at Zach Wilson like, okay, what do I do here? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the part that their quarterback room is that bad is not going to help Zach Wilson. But again, I do think Zach Wilson, I agree with you. I think there is some talent. I think he did a couple of things last year. So it makes sense to me for the Broncos to go, all right, we'll give it a shot. But I feel like you would want to have some sort of establishment in your quarterback room, which you do not have. And Brent, I've been looking at a list of dudes that were drafted quarterback position, looking for like second chance guys. I do not have a lot of good options here. Drew Lock, he played. You know how I feel about Drew Lock. And then there's one other, Trubisky, but it didn't work on the flyer, right? He went to Pittsburgh. I thought he was going to be great.
Yep.
He was not great, spoiler alert. Jared Goff wasn't really a flyer, but he did move teams. It was a big deal trade, but
True.
The Rams kind of did give up on him.
True.
And then
He's a good example.
Jameis Winston.
Yeah.
He's been all over.
I'm a little surprised he hasn't got another opportunity. Some of these guys that have, and he hasn't. So.
Yeah. But there's not a lot of good examples where you take a flyer on guy, he goes, and it works out somewhere.
You wonder if this class could be it again. I was high on this class, so I'm not going to be hypocritical of it. I was wrong. I thought, but I also think you can make excuses for a lot of these guys. I don't think they were placed in great situations, not unequivocally, but I think they could have been put in better spots. And we'll see what happens. And it's just crazy to me that 4 of these guys are gone, and just how fortunate again the Jacksonville Jaguars, with that Jets win, that they end up with the number 1 pick, because guess what? You would have been looking at another situation in Jacksonville where they likely would have missed. If they have any of these guys with Urban Meyer, well, first of all, Urban might not take the job, which actually might have been better.
True.
Well, it definitely would have been better.
That's a good point.
And secondly, they probably would have fizzled out.
Definitely.
And you would have missed again. You would have whiffed again, and you'd be picking, well, maybe Caleb Williams instead. And so maybe people look at that as a good thing. I don't know. But.
Possibly. And, if it wouldn't have played out exactly the same, but I think it's easy to say it would have been bad. You had the number 1 pick again the next year, and there was no quarterback there.
Yeah, true.
So,
true.
Who knows what happens there? Do you try to force it? Who knows what would have happened? But, yeah, they got really lucky, Brent. There's no other way to put it.
So I do kind of say they got really lucky getting Trevor Lawrence, but did they get lucky getting Trevor Lawrence? They would have never had Urban.
I'll keep Trevor Lawrence and not have to have like Zach Wilson or somebody, whoever else they would have picked it to.
Let's take a time out here on the Brent Austen Show. 11:15, we'll visit with Swerve Strickland from All Elite Wrestling as they're in town for a couple of big shows this week at Daly's Place. So he will join us right here in the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 Network studios, and a lot more football talk. Shock your mock semifinals on the way. Who won the quarterfinals? And we'll get voting as well over the next 24 hours. And we'll go to Vegas and visit with Austen Lane as well as he gets ready for his big UFC fight on Saturday. All on the way on a Tuesday on the Brent Austen Show.
What started out as better people, better projects just keeps getting, well, better. That's Better Exterior Solutions, ready to help you create a better outdoor experience. Check this out. Motorized pergolas are the latest in technology to transform your outdoor space. Beautiful day? Let the sun shine through. Summer rainstorm? These pergola systems close automatically to keep the weather out. From residential to commercial uses, Better Exterior Solutions has products customized to meet virtually any existing architectural structure. With retractable awnings, screens, and hurricane shutters too, if you want unparalleled quality and expertise, you need Better Exterior Solutions. Get a free estimate by visiting betterexteriors.com or calling 904-902-4999. Better Exterior Solutions. Experience better.
It's the place we party in football season with Jaguars All Access. Welcome to String Sports Brewery, everybody. Say hello to our guest tonight. That is Trevor Lawrence. You can bring your party or event to String Sports Brewery in Springfield any day and any time. Rehearsal dinners, corporate events, birthdays. Here at Strings, you can enjoy the inside area and the outside area. Good for any weather, good for any occasion. Watch the games, play the games, shoot some hoops. Beer? Yeah, they have that. Plenty of choices. And sure, this is a brewery, but Strings is also a restaurant, and the food is fantastic. A full menu made from scratch meals. And if you need String Sports Brewery to help with a party at your place, they cater too. Family, beer, food, sports. Spring Sports Brewery in Springfield.
I'm Action News Jack's First Alert meteorologist Garrett Beaton. Well, the sun is up and it's going to be a beautiful day.
Sometimes you just need a day to yourself. And Garrett's First Alert forecast makes sure you're ready to go out and enjoy. Garrett and the Action News Jax This Morning team, helping you start your morning right.
Discover how good your water can be with a new Connecticut softener and drinking water system. Connecticut's twin tank non-electric softeners are the most efficient softeners available, and their drinking water systems remove up to 99% of contaminants. We know that at our home. You can find out as well. Right now, you can save $1,000 or more when you bundle the Connecticut Premier Softener with a Connecticut K5 drinking water system. The experts at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing will test your water for free and determine your water score. Don't know your water score? Well, CGC will find out and recommend the appropriate Connecticut water treatment solutions to improve it. The higher your water score, the better your water. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. That's 904-552-1242, cgcwater.com. Financing options are available with approved credit. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing are proud partners of the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I'm a proud customer of CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Florida license number CFC 1432579.
Community. That's who we serve.
It's the people. Yes, the people.
Demanding answers because the truth matters.
When are you going to do the job?
Listening and getting help to those who need it.
I just appreciate it from the bottom of my heart.
It's about telling stories from deep inside our neighborhoods, informing you, building connections, tracking storms.
Serious storm situation, the kind of which we rarely see.
Holding people accountable.
You were getting at the truth.
That's who we are. Action News Jax.
The friendliest golf course in town, the Golf Club at Southampton. Local golfers have no shortage of options when it comes to picking a course to play here in Northeast Florida year-round. Yet time and time again, I find myself here at the Golf Club at Southampton. Easy to get to off 210 in St. Johns County. It's family owned and operated and renowned for being one of the area's most player friendly. That's just one of the reasons we hold the Action Sports Jacks Dream 18 charity golf tournament here each fall. The Mark McCumber design layout is great for all skill levels of golfers, from the guys who bomb it a mile on the range to golfers like me who are just happy to put it in the fairway, which Southampton has very accommodating fairways. And if you need new clubs, come down to the pro shop. They'll fit you up and get you a nice new set like they did for me. For more information on membership or to book a tee time and see for yourself, head over to golfsouthampton.com or call the clubhouse at 904-287-7529. The Golf Club at Southampton. It's the official home of the Action Sports Jacks Dream 18. Make it your home for golf too.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austen Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network.
All right, which one do you want?
Not Lad McConkey.
So you got those top three, and what I've been saying, obviously we just talked about it, Dunze. Could you slide in, or Neighbors? We think Harrison's going to be way off the board. One of those two guys we think could slip to 8 or 9. Probably not much past that. You trade up and get him at 8 or 9 if you want to. You might have company trying to do it. I doubt Atlanta wants to stay in that spot, but you never know, they could. Chicago, you'd think, would maybe want to stay in their spot if that possibility exists. You got Mitchell in there. You got Brian Thomas Jr. I think those two guys seem to me like the more likely pick. I'd be surprised at Mitchell at 17. Thomas at 17, or even a few spots higher could make sense. Can you drop back and get Mitchell? Maybe. And I would think if the Jags want to drop back a little bit, they think, okay, we'll either get Mitchell or one of the other corners that we covet that we don't think teams are going to go get. So drop back to 22, 23, 24, something like that. I think that could be in play, and I'm not a big fan of dropping back. I'd rather be aggressive, but at the same time, I think I'd understand it. I think if you get those top three guys off the board, you get a couple of those defensive guys off the board, and at 17, Verse isn't there, Bowers isn't there, your top corner isn't there, and Brian Thomas is either off the board or you're not huge on him at 17, I can really see the logic in dropping back if that opportunity presents itself.
Definitely.
To go do, and I can't really give them a hard time for that. I think, last year we discussed this a lot and Trent Baalke brought it up. It's like, well, I couldn't trade. I was trying to get up. Couldn't do it. People look at that like, well, that's because he doesn't know how to trade or nobody wants to trade with him. I don't really look at it like that. I think it was a draft where when you're trying to trade in the 3rd round or 4th round, there might be like 3 players worthy of drafting in that spot, an area, and you're the Jags trying to get up to do it. Well, the teams that are right in that area are like, well, we don't really like anybody in the back end of this round. So we're going to go get our guys now too. So that's how this works. And I think dance partners matter. Those relationships matter. But how people feel about the rest of the board also matters. They might feel the same way you feel. And if there are 8 teams feeling the same way you feel and only 3 players available, then nobody's going to want to move.
Yeah, nobody's moving with you.
So I do think this draft, to YB's point earlier in the show, seems deep. Seems like there are a lot of good players. We haven't talked about the overall nature of the draft as much, but I think Trent Baalke led us on to some things. Receiver draft really deep. Offensive line group really deep. Obviously, teams that want corners, which automatically are going to shove people down the board. Looks like the corner room in the first couple rounds, pretty deep.
Mm-hmm. Feels that way, definitely.
So there's some depth to this draft, I think, that does line up to say the first 3 rounds, 4 rounds, you find a lot of star quality guys. You just got to go find them.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think that's why, I guess, the philosophy, if you will, is extremely important to what they do, right? Last year they were looking for depth, and I get it. When you talk about a Jared Verse, like, I guess technically that would be a depth pick, but he would contribute right away. So I think when you're talking about a draft that has this much talent, or at least we feel like has this much talent, you've got to be smart and find guys that can contribute right away because they need it. Like, they're not where they thought they were last year. They're in a worse spot, and they need dudes to make plays this season. So you got to find those guys, whatever the position may be, and figure out guys you can get on the field and pick them early in the draft.
Yeah, so we'll see if they're able to do those kind of things and what guys are able to find. I mean, you can say it all you want. There are always going to be guys in the draft. You just got to find it, and you got to need it.
Right.
I think that's the other side of it. It's got to fit what you're looking for at the time. I mean, if there's a stud in the 2nd or 3rd round at linebacker that we look up in a few years, and this is what we love to do, and we say, well, they could have had him. It's It's like, okay, well, it makes absolutely no sense for the Jags to take a linebacker like anywhere in the first 3-4 rounds of this draft.
Or at all.
Or at all.
They got way too many of them. Boys.
So, like that's where I think we lose a little context on some of this stuff. It's easier to go in hindsight and be like, well, look at who they drafted. Look at who they drafted. Okay, what do you need at the time? What makes most sense? We would, if they draft linebacker in the 3rd round, we would absolutely crush that pick right now.
Yeah.
5 years later, we might say, hey, that was a hell of a pick. But we would absolutely crush it. It would make 0 sense with some of the needs that they need. But doesn't mean there might be a really good linebacker sitting there in the 3rd round.
Yeah. I mean, that's true. If they pick linebacker, it will not be good. Because I feel like you could make the case outside of, obviously, quarterback, running back, and maybe linebacker, that you could pick somebody and tackle, and they can force their way on the field. Like, you pick a receiver, you pick a tight end, he's not going to overtake Evan Ingram, but can he slide into that 2 spot? Absolutely. I think that's up for grabs and could impact your team. You're talking about guard. They've got options at left guard, but I'm in no way sitting here saying that they couldn't become the starting left guard of the Jacksonville Jaguars, depending on how they perform in, preseason training camp and all that. But I feel like you do have a lot of spots where guys, you think you know who the starters are, but who knows what could happen. They could get on the field. They could make impact plays for you, and then you've got a starter that you didn't really think that you picked up in the 2nd or 3rd round.
Yeah, so it'd be pretty interesting. The one thing that catches my attention in the chat, and we love the chat. Chat's fired up again here on a Tuesday. You guys have been fantastic, and keep it rolling, and we got to make sure we keep counting who's going to win on our Shock Your Mock semifinals. We'll have that revealed in just a little bit. Swerve Strickland is coming up in just a few minutes here on the show as well from All Elite Wrestling. Football fan, too, so maybe talk a little football with him. And I keep seeing this over the last few weeks and probably few months about the Jags receivers, and everybody, of course, wants the top 3 guys. But Mitchell and Brian, there doesn't seem like there's a lot of Brian Thomas fans.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of Mitchell fans. And he's a polarizing player, it feels like.
Mm-hmm.
A.D. Mitchell out of Texas. Yep. I don't know what that means. I don't know if that's just a fan-generated thing. But I don't know. There doesn't seem like there's a lot of buzz for Brian Thomas, even though it seems it's pretty clear that he's the 4th receiver in this draft.
Yeah, I guess, in my opinion, is with Brian Thomas, don't get me wrong, obviously talented, big, he fits what you need and what you're going to need in a wide receiver if you do pick one. But he's a guy that you don't know where he's going to be picked, right? You see mock drafts where he's in, I saw one earlier where he's in the top 10, and then there's somewhere he's picked after the Jags pick. So I think when you're talking about A.D. Mitchell, that's a guy that you feel confident is going to be available for you no matter what happens if you want to pick him. Brian Thomas might go way high, might be there, but is he somebody that you're really fired up to go trade up for? I don't think that exists. So at least with A.D. Mitchell, I think it's easier to go, this is a guy that's going to be available. Let's, lock in to see what he's doing and see if he makes sense for the Jags. Yeah, also very big.
I think that's a good point. I think there's a little bit of a feel to say, okay, you're going to give me Brian Thomas. Well, that means we missed out on the 3 guys. Because he's not far from those 3 guys. Mm-hmm. To your point, if it's Mitchell, it's like, well, we know he's going to be on the board. Mm-hmm. So now we can we can get him. We don't have to wait to see if Indianapolis gets him or somebody else gets him. We can get him. And we can maybe even trade back and get him, and get better value for him or whatever. So I think that's probably it. But it's just wild to me that I don't feel like I've seen a lot of Brian Thomas love. Like, hey, that's cool if we get Brian Thomas too. It might have been there at the outset, but it doesn't feel like it's there right now.
I agree. If it works out, it works out, kind of is.
Yeah, and this might just truly be because people are big Mitchell fans. Mm-hmm. I mean, there are just a lot of fans, but he's also a polarizing player. Like, there are people that have him all over the place, from 17 all the way back into the 2nd round. Mm-hmm. So I think that part is interesting, more so than Thomas. Thomas, you don't see going back to the 2nd round. You don't see him going back past 25.
Right.
Like, he feels like he's a 13 to 25 player.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
At least from what we're seeing and what we're looking at. Hey, we're going to take an early break here and get Swerve Strickland in studio. Talk a little more football. We talk a little All Elite Wrestling. Big show tomorrow, big show Saturday, right around the draft as well at Daly's Place in Jacksonville. So we'll have some fun coming up with that. We still have Roy Robertson-Harris. We'll have a conversation. Shock Your Mock semifinals. And Austen Lane from Las Vegas. Oh, we got some busy times. Still on the show, the Brent Austen Show on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network here on a Tuesday. In Northeast Florida, we love hanging out on the back patio, maybe grilling out lunch or dinner with the family, enjoying the good weather, or maybe enjoying the big game on the TV. Or maybe your favorite team in town, the Action Sports Jacks team. This is great, except for when it's really hot or the bugs start coming out. But what if you didn't have to worry about that? Titan Outdoor Solutions will make your outdoor area a comfortable spot, any time of the day, any time of the year. This makes too much sense. Titan Outdoor Solutions can give your home an upgrade. Customized pergolas, awnings, controlled shade, even retractable screens. The solution to beating the heat and the bugs and getting more use out of your home is Titan Outdoor Solutions. And this can even help prevent storm damage at your home. Living in Florida and living in your home is already good. Now make it great. Quality products, custom work, locally owned and operated. Visit TitanShuttersAndScreens.com or call 904-484-7580.
Navigating to that perfect car can be a daunting task. Trust me, I understand, but if you want to find the perfect blend of sales and service for your automotive needs, look no further than the Tom Bush family of dealerships.
Here at Tom Bush, they do things right. Dating back to 1970, they've been a staple in the community, giving back and keeping everything local. With 4 different brands to choose from, BMW, Mazda, Volkswagen, and Mini, there's a car for every member of the family, and the customer service is second to none. Looking to add an electric vehicle to your fleet? Tom Bush remains at the forefront of new technology with plenty of staff on hand to walk you through the future of driving and help eligible customers file for that EV tax credit.
Whether you're looking for your future driver's first car or you want to step up to luxury and arrive in style, the Tom Bush family of dealership is the only stop that you need to make.
Stop by the showroom or check out the inventory at tombush.com.
When you think sports, you think Action Sports Jacks, the official station of the Jaguars, on location for every game. But the most experienced team in town doesn't stop there. From high school football to the big events in the area, Action Sports Jacks is always on. Now, we take that to a new level. Action Sports Jacks 24/7 is around-the-clock coverage of the teams you love and the moments you can't miss. The best local sports in Jacksonville on Action Sports Jacks 24/7.
The UNF men's tennis team swoops to an A-Sun championship led by Coach of the Year Matt Lucas. The Ospreys battled over the weekend as the favorites and beat Stetson in the finals 4-0. The doubles was thrilling and eventually led to a critical point to begin the finals. UNF finished things off with a dominant singles performance. It's the third A-Sun championship for men's tennis and first since 2018. They will now advance to the NCAA tournament. For more Ospreys news and results in all sports, go to UNFOspreys.com.
Do you have ugly concrete around your home or business? Are you tired of concrete that is cracked, stained, or just plain ugly? Spartan Coatings' range of products provides a surface that is non-porous, easy to clean, antibacterial, and slip-resistant, all with superior durability.
Living in Florida nearly my whole life, I know the toll our weather can take on a garage floor. That's why I had Matt and the crew from Spartan Coatings transform this space. And the best part? They did it in one day.
It was a professional process from step one. The polyurea and polyaspartic system provides superior flexibility, is 4 times stronger than epoxy coatings, and will withstand temperatures high and low. Plus, it comes with a 20-year warranty. Whether it's a garage floor, patio, pool deck, driveway, or your interior flooring, Spartan Coatings has you covered. To get started transforming your ugly concrete surfaces, call 904-671-3930 or visit SpartanCoatings.com today for your free quote.
Everyone loves a good game night. Here you don't have to be the host. You don't have to clean up. They bring the food and drinks to you, and you can watch whatever you want on the big screens. It's more than a card room. It's a night full of fun with friends. Best Bet Jacksonville, Orange Park, and now the newest location here in St. Augustine, right off 95 at exit 311. A brand new clean room, a full bar and menu, my favorite sushi in town. And I love the fries too. You don't have to just play poker at Best Bet. That's why I come over here to the table games and play one-card poker. That's a pretty good card and a win. One-card poker is like war as a kid, you against the dealer. And this isn't the only fun table game to play. a friendly staff, a lot of fun. It's a good night out at Best Bet Jacksonville Orange Park and the newest location in St. Augustine. You can be a serious player or a novice. It doesn't matter. If winning equals fun, you're a winner every time at Best Bet. I'll save you a seat, and I'll see you down here at Best Bet St. Augustine.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austen Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
Hey, looking at the new world champ in AEW, All Elite Wrestling in town in a couple of days this week around the NFL Draft. So a huge week in Jacksonville. It starts tomorrow night, of course, with All Elite Wrestling Dynamite Edition here in Jacksonville at Daly's Place. And then on Saturday, we've got Collision Rampage also at Daly's Place on Saturday night. So Wednesday, Saturday, and all we have in between is a little bit NFL Draft on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, which I got to believe we're going to see maybe some collaboration between the football side and wrestling side in some way.
You remember the Urban Meyer debacle? Remember that?
I don't know, it's a debacle. I mean, it's part of it at the time.
It was great at the time, but looking back
at everything, Urban Meyer was a debacle.
Yeah, it just goes in the debacle book of Urban Meyer. But anyway, definitely looking forward to the collaboration.
Well, say hello to Swerve Strickland. He joins us right here in the Action Sports Jax 24/7 Network studios, and he's got the belt with us as well with him. Brent Martineau and Casey Kurtz back on the Brent Austen Show. Congratulations on a big Sunday night, by the way.
Thank you very much. We made history, man. Like I said.
You absolutely did make history. We'll get him on camera here in just a moment. Rob, if you need there you go. You got it. The big camera's right up there, Swerve. You know how to find the camera, man.
Every time. Every time.
Look at that belt.
That is massive. That is not like any of the ones you get at like Walmart. If you're trying to pay $24.99, it's like half of that.
And you also don't got to fight Samoa Joe for those times.
Yeah, that's fair. You just got to go to the cash register for that.
All right. I just asked you before you came on. I said what a huge night it was Sunday.
Yeah.
But seriously, put it in some context for us what Sunday night meant and what the last couple of days have been now that you're the world champ.
Last couple of days have been like a whirlwind. I was saying it earlier before today. It was more like you had to just empty your mind of anything you had going on, any issues that you had, any problems, your body ailments, whatever, like issues at home, issues with your job, whatever. Empty your mind, and you gotta just start fresh and just build from there. So the day of is just like, first off, early in the day, I did my Swerve City podcast with Adam Copeland. So I was like, start off with a great positive note. So we got that locked in. So that's going to be coming to the Swerve City podcast coming up very soon. Running around, just making sure everything's set in order. And because it's going to be a long night. You're main eventing, Dynasty. Like I'm hearing whose house, Swerve's house throughout the hallways of the arena, which is amazing. So you can understand what people are here for. You understand what people are ready for. And they're just wondering, like, are we going to get what we paid for?
Yeah.
Are we that's the number one thing as like dealing with the fan base. Are we going to get what we paid for flying all the way over here, buying a ticket, coming to this arena, enjoying the show, but it's a long show, so you're in it for the long haul and staying for the main event. Because like after a Will Ospreay and Bryan Danielson,
right?
It's like, okay, we can go home now from that. But no, we're invested in what is the outcome of the main event. And I think we told that story business-wise very, very successfully with the culmination of myself making history as the first African-American AEW world champion in the company's history. And just one more to add to the history books in pro wrestling history, like alongside like Ron Simmons, a Kofi, a Mark Henry, a Booker, like to be in that talking point, to be amongst those greats, those GOATs, means the world to me.
So you could feel the anticipation they'll build throughout the day. It's really what you're getting at.
Yeah.
That's like, I mean, like a rush like you've never had?
Unlike anything I've ever had.
Yeah.
Unlike anything. Like insane.
And then you turn around though quick. I mean, right back at it. So I mean, do you get to enjoy it?
Like
you soaking this thing up?
I had my time to soak it in. It was awesome and incredible moments. And a celebration later that night, my attorney, manager, brother, Tony Risha, set up a huge surprise party at a local restaurant. and like Jericho came through, gave a speech.
Awesome.
Like all my whole crew, my Keith Lucas from the Lucas Brothers, Oscar winners, Flash, Prophet, like these are Grammy-winning people, friends of mine that I work with, that are just there. My kids, my kids were flown out as a special surprise. So they watched while I didn't even know. I thought they were home. They were really out in St. Louis.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
It was just an amazing moment. But yeah, it just means the world. And I felt like it meant something to everybody else in the fan base watching it. Everybody in the crowd felt something, and they connected with it. Whether it doesn't matter if you were African American, Black, white, Asian, like Indian, like Native American, like Latino. It doesn't matter. Like they saw representation, like a triumph. And I think that story resonates with anybody.
Swerve, you talked about it in your like post press conference a little bit, and you just mentioned it with Kofi, and just talking about that moment. I remember when Kofi won that. Like I was like that was an all time moment for me as a wrestling fan. Now, like you're gonna have that with fans, and like young fans are gonna come up and remember this moment, this unbelievable match that you guys had, and now what you can be for kids. Like, has that sunk in yet? Like what that's gonna mean just for the rest of your life? Like you're gonna be a icon.
It's still so fresh.
Yeah,
it still feels very fresh to like it's too new to feel the long lasting effects that it might have, like a Kofi or something like that. But I always shout him out because that's a big inspiration. It's like, man, I want to try to recreate that in my own way. How do I have that moment? And I wanted to push as hard as I could to give the best story, give the best unique me. Because Kofi was just a unique him. The New Day and was a very unique him, them, to make that story special. And everybody felt that, felt the pain, felt the history that he went through to climb to get there. It took him, what was this, 11 years to get to that. So that was amazing. Like, I'm like, okay, I don't have that 11-year story, but I have something that I can really pull into, to pull people into, ride with me from like a short period of time, getting to know me in my like only 2 years in All Elite Wrestling. And another thing, it was just like I had to like kind of like expect people not to know the 12, 13 years it took me for me to get there. I got to start you off with this story. The genesis was right here, right now.
Yeah, you can't assume that everybody knew it.
At all. Some people know, but the majority, I still have to gain new fans and new following to understand this is the introduction to Swerve Strickland. Start with this story now and ride it through like the mid card, undercard, doing pre-shows, and I still never done a main card of Forbidden Door. I've always only done the kickoff shows. Last year's Revolution I wasn't even on. There's still a lot of like holes in that, and that was like, okay, I didn't make those. What if I made those like my motivation, my story for people to really understand and feel like this is why this character has to go to these lengths. I have to like come at Hangman Page. I have to attack him in a different way. I challenged him to take his opportunity because he was just too content. He took it for granted. I'm starving. I'm hungry. If I had that opportunity, I'd be champion too. Maybe quicker. I don't know. You got a lot of favors handed to you. Show me how good you really are. And I challenged him for that, and I did exactly what I said. So it was that whole story and pathway of just taking back what I felt like I deserved or was never given, or opportunities. So that's why I kind of did the inspired Killmonger look. It was like I'm not like being just coronated and given the throne. No, I have to go and take it myself. So there was that mentality and story. You try to like let these subliminals play out and let the fans kind of feel that and understand and watch it and like really like feel a little bit more deeper than just a match for the championship. It's just like so much more story behind it.
Swerve Strickland with us here on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 Network. All Elite Wrestling, world champion, and All Elite Wrestling in town this week at Daly's Place with AEW Dynamite coming up tomorrow and AEW Collision Rampage on Saturday. You mentioned your story from the military to get into wrestling, and that's part of it. There's the music element of it. But I feel like when you just shared what you shared, the story and telling the story is important to you as much as the entertainment, right? As much as the victory, as much as the athleticism, everything else that goes into wrestling and what you do for a living. How important will the story be from here now to evolve as you're capturing more eyeballs' attention and really put on probably the biggest spotlight you've ever been under.
That's the challenging part of this whole thing. It's like the story is like, I always say it's like a Rubik's Cube that's always moving. Like you're going to figure out one side, but then the other side starts moving, and you're like, okay, let me figure out that side, and then the other one. You're never going to complete the full thing. So for me, it's just like constantly trying to figure out this puzzle that's ever moving, because the business is ever moving. It's not even just a wrestling business you're competing with anymore. It's the entertainment business in general, because all of it's just all like overlapping, and everybody's colliding and like
trying to share the space.
You got to share it now, you know. So now you're seeing content creators become like champions and compete. So it's just like you got to compete with other entertainments. Content creators are getting in boxing. So now it's just like, okay, where does this fit in? Where does this flow? What also is like, what is like a Tony Khan? Where does he want to take the direction of the company? Where now obviously he's taking it in the direction of like Swerve and building that. Now it's like, okay, where do I play into that? How can I put my touch on it? Once again, create a unique me to the story and to the company. Doing interviews, coming out here to speak with you guys, that's one way. Okay, how do I build off of that? What do I take like an accomplishment? How do I don't want to sit on it and settle on it. I want to use that as a tool to power something else. And then when I create something with that, I got to use that as a tool to power something else. And now that's the story being told. And now you get to play with things, and especially when people start picking up on it, and like, oh, he has the new shoe, he has his own shoe now, like that's what he was wearing. Oh, the shoe coordinates with the guy in the music video that's in his Titantron. That's cool. Yeah. Oh wait, but these guys have a documentary with the Lucas brothers who are Oscar winners that's coming out. Oh, so that ties into that. So these are stories that I'm not necessarily telling. It's just what I'm doing, but they're kind of telling itself.
Yeah, that's cool.
And if people deep dive enough, they'll find, and then somehow, some way, it'll make its way to television. So that's how I work, you know.
But when you're thinking about wrestling when you were 18 years old and teenager guy, that element, you had no clue about that part of it, right?
God,
I'm sure
no.
this part is developed. That part is evolved. You thought you were just jumping off ropes and winning championships, and
I thought I used to think it was just that simple to do, and I got a rude awakening on that early on. Yeah. And but it was just like, some people take failures or they misjudge something, and they take those things as like they take it as a way to be discouraged, when you can find a way to actually turn it into building, and that's a learning tool, that's a learning craft. I'm like, okay, cool. Now I know what to build off of and what direction not to go. It's almost like taking the wrong direction in the city of Jacksonville. You're oh, that's cool.
Found something new.
Yeah, but you're never lost, because you always know how to get your way back home. So you're never lost. Some people say like, oh, I'm lost in the city. No, how do you get home? Oh, I gotta get back on the road to go back. Like, so you're not lost. If you can always find your way home, you're never lost. Yeah. That's like that's like a thing for life. If you can find your way back to the starting point, you're just never lost. It's just getting back on the road and doing it again, finding a different route. Maybe like, you know what I mean? So that's how I always looked at things, and try to like navigate and once again find your own way. But don't be afraid to follow the path of others that's been successful and paved the way and done it. Don't be afraid to like copy a little bit. Don't be afraid to like kind of jock from people that's been great. You know, like we've done it, I've done it, Osprey's done it, Bryan Danielson's done it, you know, Joe's done it. Like we've all done it to create our own way after that.
Sort of, you mentioned some names there with Danielson and obviously Samoa Joe, who you've been in this unbelievable just battle with. But
thank you.
You talk about all the different people that are in AEW. How would you kind of, I guess, assess the talent, just the pure wrestling ability? I mean, you saw it. Yeah. I mean, you were in it, but we saw it on Dynasty. Like, just everyone is so talented. Like, how good are you guys right now?
Like I said, at the press scrum, I was like, 5 of these matches could have main evented at any point. I just had like the championship and a different story that told just a broader strokes of the pay-per-view itself. But man, like think about the talent that was left off the show that couldn't make it. You know, we didn't have a Moxley. We have no Adam Cole and no MJF. We don't have like a Kenny Omega. We still didn't have no Wardlow like in ring competing, and no Sheeta, no Jamie Hayter, no Britt Baker. You know, like Mercedes still hasn't had an in-ring, you know, debut. No Athena, she's still lurking out there. No Keith Lee. that's like that roster right there who just wasn't even on could still make another show in itself.
Yeah.
So that's why it's like so special for me to be up top there, because I'm like looking with the rest of these guys. I'm like, anybody can take this spot at any moment, and you gotta be excuse my language, you gotta be on your shit hard, heavy, because these guys are here. We're not building to the next, no, they're here now.
Yeah, it's plenty of competition.
It's competition, and it is stiff. And for me to be at the top right now, I literally feel like the face of the franchise building the dynasty, which is where this pivot meant, like the era of starting this new thing. It means so much. And these are teammates that I want on my side. These are guys, these are the Kansas City Chiefs. These are people that you want to build, you know what I mean? Yeah. That's what you want. And so it's just an awesome feeling. The locker room is so supportive of everyone. We want to have the best pay-per-view. We that's our moniker. That's our selling point right now. We have this oh hell yeah, come back, Pac, dap them up. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Starting the show. How do we follow? I don't know, but you got yours. You killed that tonight.
Yeah.
All right, now and then I look at Will, we know what you're gonna do. Go out there, do that. So it's just the motivation of everybody pushing each other, and that's how my era was. I come up with the Ospreys, and he's 4 years younger than me, but we still kind of in the same realm, Ospreys, and being on the roads with man, who else was on that road with us? Angelico is another one that's just been on there grinding with us for so many years. That's our mentality. Just we know what you're about to do. We know how you're about to get down. Go out there, kill it. We're going to figure out a way to try to one-up it. Try to one-up it, or just match it, or do whatever we can. But we know each other well enough to be yeah, this is, and that's the locker room.
That's cool behind the scenes, by the way, feel of what that is and what you guys are building and have built, really. But, around here, Trevor Lawrence, we call him the face of the franchise.
Absolutely.
So we ask him
100%.
questions all the time, hey, where are you, what direction are you guys going in? Where is he going? How do you view the franchise right now? What else do you need? And, face of the franchise. AEW, where do you see it right now? Where do you see where you guys are at, where you're going? And where you can get to, and obviously, you just on Sunday night became a bigger part of that.
Right now, I think getting this championship seen get as many eyes seen on the championship is so important. And it's not just staying local with things. That's a very, very key point of things. Daly's Place is right here. We're setting up, doing a lot of promotion to get Daly's Place, but we want the world, man. We want, we got to fly to, I have no problem getting on a plane, flying to Wembley in London to promote for All In months down the road, even though we have 40,000 tickets already, distributed. And so I'm okay, cool. I want 40,000 more. We got to work to that.
Yeah.
Who has to do the work for that? Well, Tony Khan, marketing team, guys, all that. But I got to do the work.
There's some ownership there.
Yeah, I got to do that too. The face of the franchise has to be there for that. There's no rest anymore. I got to take that 1 foot step forward more than all the other guys that want to be in that spot. I got to take that step forward, and that's a lot of humility, humble, but it's a lot of just drive and inspiration. I have to be aware of those kind of things and that responsibility. I'm in this position for a reason, and I got to show that where the steps forward we want to go. We want the world to know who AEW is. We want the world to be introduced to what All Elite Wrestling is all about, because we are by far easily the best in-ring product you're ever going to see in pro wrestling, the deepest roster in pro wrestling history. And I stand by that because I'm with these guys and girls every single week, and I'm watching the work they put in. The fans are watching the work they put in on a weekly basis, but there's so much more that goes behind that you're not seeing this on Wednesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays, and then on Sunday pay-per-views and stuff like that. I want to showcase that to get them in, to peek in, to want to open the door to come through. So that's where we're at and growing, and now the international movement of an Okada, and then Rocky Romero getting this position that he is now, that helps us so much. Kosha being brought in to expand the attendances and seating and ticketing and promoting in all these different ways. And I'm like, okay, cool. That's 2 different departments. How do I input myself to help in both now that I have this? This is the way to steer that and to boost that and to get that improved and do more, because we're at a great spot, but we want more. We want to push more. How do I help push more?
You're a football fan. Who's your team? You're not obligated to root for the Jaguars around here.
I root for the Jags, of course. I've been to the Monday night, Sunday night games here.
Yeah,
I was there at both of them. Met Roger Goodell and all. It was an awesome moment. But in my heart, which is funny enough, ironically, how this whole comes full circle, I was a St. Louis Rams fan.
Okay.
It's the greatest show on turf.
Yeah.
It was my first Super Bowl I ever watched by myself. I sat there in front of the TV and watched the whole game by myself. Kurt Warner's story was incredible to me. Marshall Faulk is still one of my favorite players of all time. I love that team. It's probably one of the greatest offenses you've ever seen put on football, put on a football field. So coming back, win the championship,
you win the championship in St. Louis. That's pretty cool.
Full circle moment. The only thing that was missing was Marshall Faulk. Attendance. That's the only thing. But, other than that, perfect night. Absolutely perfect night.
Get him over here to Daly's Place tomorrow night and Saturday. Come on, Tony Khan.
I mean, that's the only thing I'm missing. Yeah. But Los Angeles Rams is my team.
Yeah.
I wasn't there, but I was in Los Angeles when they won the Super Bowl.
Cool.
And I got to meet Aaron Donald later that night at the banquet in L.A. So connections.
He's a pretty cool dude.
Oh, he was excellent.
Yeah.
I got his jersey hanging in the house now, this autographed jersey from the Super Bowl. I won an auction that nobody bid for, so I was the only one. I wrote my name down on a paper. Nobody bid for it. I was like, hey, win.
Big winner. Big winner.
So I'll take that. But, yeah, L.A. Rams is my team.
All right, well, around here, Trevor, if you could be GM, and you might just whisper into Tony's ear for us. Maybe trade up and get one of those big receivers or something. See if he's willing to wheel and deal in that war room.
I was in his office. I got off the plane and dropped my stuff off. He was like, oh, yeah, you can put your stuff in my office. So I put my stuff in his office, and I seen the big old scouting board, and there's tiny little letters, and I started doing. I'm like, peeked at a couple players.
Yeah.
Like, who are we looking at in the cornerback position? Who are we looking at over here? And there's all the measurements and the combine numbers and all that stuff. I'm like, oh, out of Northridge College, and let's check them out. So I peeked a little bit, but that's about it. That's
yeah. You got to keep your space.
Yeah.
In that landscape. Draft is coming up, obviously, right in between 2 big shows for All Elite Wrestling here in Jacksonville. Swerve Strickland, the new world champ, here in studio with us. Action Sports Jax 24/7 Network. You got anything?
I do.
Please.
I have a couple of things, actually. Not what you're thinking of, but it just sparked when you said you met Aaron Donald. When you are around other high, like an Ron Donald or like a Trevor Lawrence, do you, it feels like, because you're a very complex guy, you can just tell by listening to you talk, do you take something from other all-world athletes and kind of mold it into your own?
I try to, just being around. Honestly, you know what you take? You take energy from them guys. You get inspiration just being around those guys, especially high caliber winners. You just being around them and seeing how they interact and seeing how their posture, their aura is, that's contagious, and it can rub off on you. Being around a Rick Ross, outside of just what we did on the camera and hanging out with those guys, those guys are just infectious. You get the feel of great people that are doing great things as history makers. Rick Ross is on the list of 50 greatest rappers of all time. And this guy's following me on social media. It's or Bun B. I can just go to Bun B. I can text them at any point and call these guys. Just having these wheelhouse, and they're just they're so relatable. I get that from those guys. There's a lot. For me, when I really started transitioning on television, it was the Flatbush Zombies. Great rap group. Love Juice. He's been on a couple of my music projects now. Eric has got a solo project, Meech, incredible. All of these guys are great guys. Those guys inspire me, the look of transition to the colorful dreads and twisting things up, getting a little more dark here in different ways, and just hearing their voice on records. It's man, I want promos to sound like that. I want the look to their music videos to kind of match this energy when I come out, or when I'm doing a backstage cut. I want that visual from their music video that they did here to kind of match that aura. So that I get inspiration from those people, and just an ASAP, a Travis Scott. those guys inspire the hell out of me so much, and those are the guys I like kind of like drive inspiration. And as an athlete's standpoint, like meeting Coach Prime at Colorado, like that's inspirational in itself. And hearing his mentality, because I used to watch his interviews back in the day, Coach Prime was like, man, he sounds like a pro wrestler cutting promos.
Yeah.
On these, like,
He does.
like he knows he's dope.
Yeah.
Like he knows he's dope. He knows he's good. It's like, what? Like, how could you not watch him? How could you not invest in like whatever team he's going to? Whether it's Niners, Falcons, Cowboys, Ravens, like
you're sucked in.
You're sucked into that, Like, so that's another inspiration, guys. Like, so to answer your question, yeah, like 100%.
That makes a lot of sense, by the way, too. You got from humble beginnings. You're not. Some of these guys are boom instant stars, right? And so you learn to that life or that, but then you grow into potentially now star, world champ, all those things, and you almost got to turn that on and be like, hey, I'm kind of here. Like, I've got to learn to be that guy, right? I mean, be the face of the franchise.
Yeah.
Like, that's not how it started. You got to learn to be that guy. Like a Trevor Lawrence, we say all the time. He's always been the guy. He's comfortable being the guy.
Yeah.
Because in high school he was the guy, in college he was the guy. He was the face of college football. He was the face of the franchise here. He knew he was going to be the number one pick. But when you grow into that, there's got to be something sooner or later hanging around folks like that clicks. Been like, okay, this is how you carry yourself.
Yeah, like
if I'm going to be the face, right?
Like I'm pretty sure in the offseason he was like he hangs around a Peyton. I'm pretty sure he hangs around a Eli. He hangs around a Kurt Warner. He hangs around those guys and people that have won at the biggest level that there is. That inspires you. That gets in your head and it doesn't leave. Especially like someone like as motivated and like dedicated to this sport as Trevor Lawrence is. Like, you're gonna be getting those results that you want soon. Very, very soon, because it's going to rub off on you.
I got to ask you because you're the face of the franchise, right? I wasn't sure if I was going to ask, but you're the face of the franchise. Mm-hmm. You guys on AEW made a decision a couple weeks ago. You put out a little backstage video that kind of got the world talking, the wrestling world. And I think everybody feels a certain type of way about it, but you guys decided to put it out. What was your thoughts when like you found out or were involved with knowing that video was going to go out, you guys are going to play it on TV, and what that kind of was going to look like when everyone saw it and their response on social media?
I was actually sitting in the seated position right next to Tony Khan when we were about to play it, because I was like intrigued. I was like, okay, here we go. Because like with decisions like that, choices like that, you have to trust in that Tony is doing it for a reason. This man is running a franchise, an NFL franchise, with like all the elements that goes into that. He's built this company on his, like, he did this. He chose to do this, make a all elite wrestling with like all these other people that were involved in creating all elite wrestling. That was still ultimately Tony Khan's decision. And with that being said, like, a lot of us have to trust in his vision and trust in his decision making. So it's like, all right, Captain, I'm riding with you on this. And so I sat right next to him and I watched it and I was like, how are you feeling? He was like, feeling good. I'm like, if you're feeling good, I'm feeling good too. And you got to ride with it. And regardless if it was positive, negative, people felt. Like, it's no different than watching TMZ. In my opinion. Yeah. I'm like, y'all want to talk about like these, you want to talk about like, oh, y'all want to watch good TV. Y'all watch reality TV all the time when, people really,
That's right. Absolutely.
Like, I'm like, okay, I don't see no difference. Y'all going to feel some type of way. And guess what? We're going to keep going on Wednesdays and Thursdays, Fridays and Saturdays. Y'all are welcome to join us. But they felt like if you feel something, I'm for it. Negative, positive, whatever. But you all tuned in and watched the pay-per-view. And you all tuned in and watched a positive outcome to that pay-per-view and felt good. For the majority, I would like to say a high majority, people felt something good at the end of that pay-per-view. Following something that just like indifferent feeling.
Yeah, didn't know how you felt.
Yeah, you didn't know. And sometimes you're not even going to really get to the understand like, okay, I finally have a decision on how I felt about that. You might get that 3 months from now, seeing how things play out. But you got to watch things play out. And then you'll finally come to a decision and a conclusion on how you felt about something that felt indifferent.
Yeah, it's a great way to describe it. I think you're in the entertainment business, promotion business, a lot of different business, and you just said the word. If you can feel it, mission accomplished.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways. Well, they can feel Swerve Strickland as AEW World Champ Weekend, too. We can see it. That belt's nice, man.
Boom.
You can go anywhere without it now. No.
Oh, I need a backpack. That thing is not light. I work out, and I'm like, I don't think I want to work out today carrying this thing all day.
That's awesome.
I'm blessed to like carry the weight of that championship physically, and the history behind it, and the responsibility behind it. I feel truly blessed.
Good luck this week in Jacksonville and on the rest of the journey and the rest of the story, man. We appreciate you stopping by for a while, hanging out with us here on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 Network. Swerve Strickland, AEW, in town tomorrow night at Daly's Place and again on Saturday. So make sure you check it out. It's a huge week in Jacksonville. Beautiful week, by the way, to be inside Daly's Place and check out AEW coming up Wednesday and Saturday, right in between all our NFL draft stuff as well. Big week in the River City. We'll take a break. We'll be right back here on the Brent Austen Show. Austin will join us from Las Vegas ahead of his big UFC fight on Saturday. That is still on the way. Plus, we'll visit with Jags defensive tackle Roy Robertson-Harris. All on the way here on a Tuesday. Countdown of the draft continues on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 Network.
I like to say everybody has a story, and sometimes we are part of other people's stories. That's the case here at Nimnicht Buick GMC. My family and the Nimnicht family. We've purchased 6 different vehicles from Nimnicht Buick GMC. Maybe you're in the market for a truck. Well, let me tell you about the GMC Sierra. I absolutely love mine. I've had a couple of these. This one's a 2020, but right now on 2024 GMC Sierras here at Nimnicht Buick GMC, there's special financing. A year ago, we purchased a GMC Terrain for the kids. Financing rates as low as 0.9% for eligible buyers on Terrains and no payments for 90 days. Looking for used instead of new? Buy a used car with the Car Bravo program. Nimnicht Buick GMC certifies all makes and models. Let the #1 Buick GMC dealer in Jacksonville take care of you and your family. Come on out and see the showroom, meet the fantastic people, or shop online at nimnichtbuickgmc.com. Nimnicht, your friends in the car business since 1941. GMC, we are professional grade.
What started out as better people, better projects just keeps getting, well, better. That's Better Exterior Solutions, ready to help you create a better outdoor experience. Check this out. Motorized pergolas are the latest in technology to transform your outdoor space. Beautiful day? Let the sun shine through. Summer rainstorm? These pergola systems close automatically to keep the weather out. From residential to commercial uses, Better Exterior Solutions has products customized to meet virtually any existing architectural structure. With retractable awnings, screens, and hurricane shutters too, if you want unparalleled quality and expertise, you need Better Exterior Solutions. Get a free estimate by visiting betterexteriors.com or calling 904-902-4999. Better Exterior Solutions. Experience better.
Discover how good your water can be with a new Kinetico softener and drinking water system. Kinetico's twin-tank, non-electric softeners are the most efficient softeners available, and their drinking water systems remove up to 99% of contaminants. We know that at our home. You can find out as well. Right now, you can save $1,000 or more when you bundle the Kinetico Premier Softener with a Kinetico K5 drinking water system. The experts at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing will test your water for free and determine your water score. Don't know your water score? Well, CGC will find out and recommend the appropriate Kinetico water treatment solutions to improve it. The higher your water score, the better your water. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. That's 904-552-1242, cgcwater.com. Financing options are available with approved credit. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing are proud partners of the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I'm a proud customer of CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Kinetico dealer. Florida license number CFC 1432579.
It's the fishing tournament everyone wants to get in, and it's time for you to register. More than 650 boats entered last summer in the Daly's Old School Kingfish Shootout presented by Yellowfin. Mark the calendar now, June 8th. This is fun for the entire family, and everyone has a chance to win big. Limited boundaries, no bait buying, no checkout. Cash prizes for the top 25 places, cash prizes for the top 10 lady anglers, and prizes for the top 15 junior anglers. The grand prize, this Yellowfin Bay boat with a 200 horsepower Yamaha and a Ameritrail trailer. The value, over $100,000. It's the Daly's Old School Kingfish Shootout. Early entry until the end of May is open and $250. If you don't catch the big one, don't worry. Just catch any size kingfish and have a chance to win $10,000 with the Nimnik Lucky Ticket. OldSchoolKingfish.com. Register early until May 31st at OldSchoolKingfish.com.
New to town or always been in town? Everyone is always looking for a good pizza place. Our place is Donato's Pizza. We love it and still do love it. When I tell my family I'm coming to Donato's, they say, wait a minute, you got to order some for us. So this is not all for me. Let me tell you what the Martineaus get when we put an order in. Well, pepperoni pizza, we usually get more than one of these. And then there's the works, a little bit of everything. And then this is the pizza that can be polarizing for some out there. I don't know why. Hawaiian pizza, some love it, some don't. At Donato's, you're gonna love it, especially with that cinnamon sprinkled on top. Try the pizza my family likes or try your favorite. Right now, you can use the code Brent20 and get 20% off your order. Every viewer and listener is important to us, and at Donato's Pizza, every piece is important. From fresh ingredients to the dedicated team members and you, the valued customer. Donato's Pizza, where every piece comes together for a winning combination. Jack's Beach and Mandarin locations, Donato's Pizza. Every piece is important.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austen Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
All right, so I'm not locked into the wrestling like you guys are, Austin, you,
right,
others, but I love when we have the wrestlers on. Like Swerve, we had up on ESPN 690 in the last year. He was fantastic. We did more of the background story of him how he got here. So to see this part of the story is kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
He's a fascinating human being.
Yeah.
And I thought it was really cool about just the whole business side of it and storytelling side of it and entertainment side of it. And now his role in it and how important it is as the world champ. So totally different. We had Tony Storm in character, Timeless Tony.
Yep.
And then Swerve kind of on the whole perspective of being the face of the franchise, which in this role really isn't that different than a comparison of like a Trevor or a quarterback for a franchise. Like, doesn't it make you think if he's sitting next to Tony Khan while he's tweeting that out or sharing that video, that becomes very polarizing and becomes a big. That was with CM Punk, by the way, if you don't know the backstory there, and got some interesting reaction, but got reaction, as Swerve said. Don't you get the sense that somewhere Trevor Lawrence has walked by that war room a time or two, poked his head in and said, I really like that Adunze guy.
Yeah. Yeah, you would have to believe that's happened once or twice with Trevor Lawrence. Definitely, you got to take that ownership. And I think if you're Tony Khan and AEW and everyone that makes decisions over there, that's the type of dude that you want to be your champion and your face of your franchise, because like you hear him talk and he's thinking about just how he can, I guess, evolve every part of his life, right? Talking on the microphone or the social media stuff, trying to tie everything together to his story. Like, that's a guy who's always like evolving him and the character and all of that. So like, that's a guy that I would think in that sport, in that world, you want as your guy rather than someone that's just sitting back saying, okay, what are we going to do here?
Absolutely.
Like, he's writing his own story. He's helping them craft the story. Like, it's just in the entertainment world, that has to be just a home run for that guy to be your face.
Absolutely. And maybe that's why you visualize him being your face, or you see some of that coming up. But I mean, that's why other big stars like in the entertainment world take on such like an ownership part of it, right? Actors do that. Like Tom Cruise does his own stunts or whatever. Like, what does that do? I was watching something recently with like Cruise, and I was watching the reaction of the crew as he was doing stunts and like did it 4 times. It was like some jump, and he had to like parachute off a motorcycle eventually. And he did it like 4 times. And I was watching the reaction of the crew and the director and producers and everybody else, and they're like amazed.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, they must be able to feel that. If that guy's doing that for this production, then getting here at 6 a.m. and working until 8 p.m, doing those kind of things, which that carries weight.
Yeah.
Right? And so what you're saying there is the same type of deal. He wants to go sell the other 40,000 tickets in London, right, at Wembley Stadium. Well, if you're that invested in, he doesn't get the dollars for the 40,000 tickets.
No.
But he's that invested in the product. Like, that's when you have good stuff. So you bring that back to, like, Trevor. That's what we love about Trevor. Trevor's always been locked into the idea that he is the face of the franchise. One thing I always say about Trevor is he fully understands his role in this town, in this city, with this franchise, as the face of the Jags. Different than maybe if he was in Pittsburgh or somewhere else. But he understands the what it means to you, the fan, what it means. I saw a buddy, he shared a Facebook or maybe it was Instagram or something, post of his kids at the beach this past weekend taking a picture with Trevor. Trevor was at the beach.
Oh, okay.
And so he took a picture. And then yesterday, and I can't remember now who told me this, but I was talking to somebody and they were like, yeah, he was in Jack's Beach all weekend. Like, he can't move. Like, the poor guy can't go eat because he's just taking pictures the whole time.
Right.
But he doesn't seem bothered by that. He understands it's part of like what he does. It's part of, do you think he wants to do all that? Probably not. But he also understands it's part of the reason he's about to get a $55 million a year deal.
Right.
Right? And this record deal. And it's also part of the reason why he's so important to this city. I think he feels it. I think him and Marissa seem to have a great understanding of that. Mm-hmm. And he said it on the podium last week. Like, we love it here. We want to be here. Like, we get it here. Like, this is a good fit for us. Even if I do have to, he didn't say this part, even if I do have to stop every 5 seconds and take pictures with people.
Yeah. I want to leave that part out. But yeah, no, I mean, you're right. It's, again, it takes like, I think the type of person, and Trevor, in Trevor's scenario, right, he's been in that role, if you will, since high school, right? We've talked about it a ton, but he was that guy at Clemson. Like, I'm sure going to class wasn't super fun, one, because it's class, and two, because you can't really walk by people when you're the freshman quarterback that wins a national championship. You know what I mean? So he's been in that spot. He doesn't have to like it, but
by the way, the story on that spot, to interrupt, is he got so big at Clemson that somebody came up to him and said, hey, let's get you off campus. I've got a place like 10, 15 minutes away. You can rent that out. It's a little quiet. And that's where he ended up going.
Yeah, I mean,
somebody kind of pulled him from that scene. That's how big he was.
Right. You have to. And the fact that he just understands it is, I think, the key, because you talk about other guys where it doesn't work. Like, Zach Wilson's not a great example here, but Zach Wilson, like, not only did he have everything going on on the field and trying to play well on the field, you had the whole New York part of it off the field, right? So it's just like, it's hard to kind of put yourself in that spot. But when you have Trevor, who understands it and is good at it, and you bring it back to Swerve, he's a guy who he talked about just a couple minutes ago. For a good amount of the pay-per-views, he wasn't even on the cards. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So to go from that to where he is now, but still fully understand it, Brent, I think it goes back to the type of person, I guess, you are, and just to understand. And I guess it comes back to something he talked about with Trevor a lot, the trust. He talked about how much he trusts Tony Khan in that situation, and hopefully Trevor trusts Shad Khan in a very similar situation.
Well, he does. He said it on Tuesday. Like, I'm so fascinated with the Trevor side of this contract that could come up, but from a Shad point of view, and I've said this in passing, and I don't really think people really cling on to this, and you can if you want. You can disagree if you want, but what my view on this, and I don't think I'm too wrong. I've been around Shad enough. I'm not sitting here telling you I know Shad Khan. Just been around him enough over the last dozen years and seen it. And just even if you you don't have to be around him to realize this part. I think there's a part of Shad Khan that can't wait to write the check for Trevor Lawrence. I think in part, that might be some of the motivation to get this thing done. I think he wants to write the check for Trevor Lawrence more than maybe any other owner has wanted to write that size check for a quarterback. And I'm sure a lot of people are happy to do it, Patrick Mahomes and others. But I think he wants to do it. I think he understands how fortunate they were. I think the rest of the last 3 years is showing how fortunate they were to land not just the player, but the person of Trevor Lawrence at his age, the maturity. Also, I think there's a little bit of ownership probably on Shad Khan's point of, sorry to put you in the Urban Meyer situation.
Yep.
Right?
Definitely.
And to see him come out on the other side of it and to now have Trevor be the guy representing his organization. I'm sure he couldn't wait to write a check to some CEO for Flexengate who really did a great job.
At some point,
right?
Yep.
We don't know that, but I'm sure at some point he couldn't wait to do that and say, hey, you're getting this promotion or this raise or this whatever in his company because he was so valuable. I think that's the way he looks at Trevor. And I think there's some part of me that thinks, there's a big part of me that thinks he can't wait to do it. And so much so can't wait to do it that he might do it earlier than other people would want to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's definitely a conversation in terms of what you've seen on the field, but what you can't what you'll never find again, in my opinion, is the type of person off the field and the leader that the person that you get in Trevor Lawrence, right? Like, is Trevor Lawrence the best quarterback to ever play the sport? As of now, no. But are you going to find someone who's a better quarterback than Trevor Lawrence, but also a better person? I'm going to say no. It's gonna be extremely hard to find
really
if you do.
Listen, Patrick Mahomes is a great representation of Kansas City right now.
Right.
I mean, I think you have great examples, but your point is a good one.
And listen, again, you've seen teams and players that don't have the best record off the field and whatnot, and that's fine at certain positions. But when you're talking about the guy that is your franchise, you need not only somebody that you can trust on the field, but somebody who, again, if you want to go back to Swerve, that you can put out to do the media and do all this stuff, and you feel great about everything they're going to say because that's your guy.
Yeah.
You're just not worried at all.
Joshua, are we signing Trevor to a long-term contract because he's a nice guy? I think he still has a lot more to prove before getting paid, just my opinion. Well, here's the deal, Joshua. Like, I get that sentiment a little bit, and your timing can be, we all think at some point in the next 12 months, Trevor's getting paid one way or another. So this is just paying earlier for probably your own selfishness too, flexibility to know it's wrapped up. I've hinted at other things like, could this be Trent Baalke saying, hey, I want to get this done because I might retire at the end of the year if those reports were really true about thinking of retirement?
Right.
Or now do you want to have to work on a deal when you get a new GM in place and everything else? Like, there are a lot of different reasons why the Jags could be selfish here. Oh, the stadium? Does it look good if you have your quarterback going into the stadium, the house that Trevor built, right? Like, there are a lot of things here that also play into good reasons why the Jaguars might. These are just things I'm throwing out there. I don't know which ones are true exactly, but they could all be reasons why. And the other thing is this. If we're signing guys just that they're nice, then Calais Campbell would have never left, and Gus Bradley would be the coach still here in Jacksonville. I mean,
there's a balance.
I think there's a balance between nice and good and all that stuff and being able to perform, right? And varying reasons of why those other guys aren't here and why you signed Trevor Lawrence. So I don't think we can just cookie cutter it this way. But I want to get to this part of it. This is really coming off the Swerve part of it.
Makes you think, huh?
Well, it makes you think, like, if he's that involved, seriously, how involved is Trevor and how much more should he be involved? I asked this question this offseason quite a bit. Is this now Trevor's offense? In fact, I think I asked him that last week. Is this his offense? Does it matter who calls plays? Is he the one that's going to be the judge and jury on those plays anyway? Is he the one that's going to have the power to be like, screw that, we're calling this? I don't know. He does call the quarterback sneak sometimes when they don't like it.
Yeah, I don't know about all that. Maybe not.
He told me last year when we had him live on our draft night in Duval special at Daly's place, he's like, yeah, I've talked to them a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he said that live in our show. He's like, yeah, I've poked my head in there. So he had already been a part of these conversations. How much of a part of the conversation was he for a Gabe Davis? How much was he a part of the conversation for, hey, Calvin Ridley? Some people wondered, hey, if he went to bat for Ridley, is he mad now that you didn't get him?
Mm-hmm.
How much will he be a part of, hey, can we go try to get Aiyuk? Can we trade up to go get a Dunze? I'm cool with Brian Thomas. You need to give me a first-round wide receiver? We could actually go get another tight end. Like, how much is he a part of those conversations? I don't have the answer to that. It might be a very small conversation. I got to believe he's involved if they're about to write a pretty hefty check to him at some point over the next few months. And I think he gave us hints last year around this time that he already had been involved.
Yeah. And if you missed the draft special last year, it was the infamous Brent and Trevor handshake.
Oh, that's right.
The awkward debacle that was.
It wasn't as awkward as
I know some of you may not have been listening at the time. We were in a different spot, but if you can go find that video.
But if you just watch the words and listen to the words, like, it was good commentary coming out of there from Trevor is what I'm getting.
Yeah, but if you watch the video, it was terribly awkward. They were standing very close together. Then they went for the handshake. It was just, oh man, what a mess. But in terms of what you're actually talking about, yeah, I mean, look, if you're going to make Trevor Lawrence that guy and pay him to be that guy, then it would be stupid to not listen to his opinion. Now, it doesn't mean you do everything he says because, it could have been as simple as, and I don't think it's, oh, Trevor Lawrence didn't want Calvin Ridley, that's why they didn't get him. Trevor might have been, hey, I'd like to have Calvin Ridley back. Hey, we're not paying that. Conversation over. Like, there's only so much that you can do or say if you're Trevor Lawrence, and I think they should listen to it because, again, all of the faith and hope that the Jags have had since 2021 and really 2020 when you were losing all those games and you're like, hey, maybe they'll get Trevor Lawrence, has all been around Trevor Lawrence. So you've got to do what you got to do to, one, keep him happy, give him the best opportunity to perform on the field. And again, hopefully it works out. And back to the comment about signing guys because they're nice. I'm not going to go away from this. When we were still doing radio, I said that they still need to see stuff from Trevor Lawrence. And listen, if you're paying strictly on what you saw on the field, I do think you need to see more. But I think it's also fair to say that you're not going to find, in my opinion, the face of your franchise for all of the other stuff. You're not going to find a better person than Trevor Lawrence. And if he just, I guess, elevates his game, which he will need to do, then, it's a perfect match.
Protesting the stream for more no gate fees episodes during the week. I like it. We're just going one at a time here. 2:00 tomorrow, but thanks for the free promotion there.
That's why.
John.
Was that a plant?
I don't know.
You know that person. You definitely know.
I don't know Johnny like Hamby knows him. I think that's Hamby's good buddy.
Okay.
And so more no gate fees coming tomorrow, by the way, 2:00 here in the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network.
That's one heck of a
and
thing
we'll
to throw
replay
out there.
Thursday and Friday, too. High Five Power Polls are going to be out there.
Still do that?
We do. We do it all. We've had a good year so far on no gate fees and committed to the uncommitted and everything else presented by Nimnick Buick GMC. Brent Martineau and Casey Kurtz. I got this in on Austen Lane. By the way, he is not going to join us. He's still busy with the doctors and some of the other things that you got to do to check in out there in Vegas. So he will be with us tomorrow and probably Thursday, Friday as well.
You missed it. You weren't here. You're at the Masters. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to share the story, but I'm going to. Sorry, Austin. So the show had just ended, and bro gets a random FaceTime from some number he doesn't know in his tiny little phone.
Yeah.
He's like, all right, yeah, I'm going to answer it. It was some UFC doctor, and he had to do all this crazy stuff like on the fly. Like, I'm literally standing here recording, bro. He's jumping on one foot to like show that his like
really?
It's why he's doing push-ups and sit-ups. It's crazy.
It was like a physical on FaceTime.
Yes. It was like out of the blue. And I was like, what would have happened if he would have called 10 minutes? Like we still would have been in the show.
Yeah.
The guy had no idea there was a show. It's just when he was calling.
Well, good thing you didn't have to participate in the coughing part of that.
Yeah. Hey, that would have not been good. I'm not. Yeah. I mean,
he did have to do a live pee in a cup.
A live, the good old live pee in a cup. Yep.
So, I mean, this has been quite the journey here. Back with Austin on this UFC.
Yeah, I'm just stunned he has more doctor stuff after the FaceTime push-ups. That was just terrible.
So one last thing on the Trevor front. If Trevor has one way, he goes knocking on the door of Bulky and Shad and Tony and Doug.
Yeah.
Kind of did that out of order, so I was like, who did I just say?
Yeah.
So he goes in there and he meets, hey guys, what's up? Hope you're doing well. I got one thing I just would. Hey, Trev, you got one thing you'd love to see happen in this draft. We can do one thing for you, ideally.
I mean, if you're doing one thing for Trevor Lawrence, it's receiver.
But you're locked in that it's receiver because, see, this is where I get a little different on people that are so convinced like he might have been mad at Calvin Ridley or they need another receiver. I don't know if Trevor himself is going to the wall saying we need another receiver. He loves Zay Jones.
Agreed.
He loves Christian Kirk. He loves Evan Ingram. And they just got him Gabe Davis. And he's been hanging out with Gabe a lot. He's got Travis Etienne. They just got better at center. Like, I'm thinking that Trevor, I get the outside world. It's like, we need number one, need number one, need number one. I get it. And I'm not telling you that he would deny it. But I also think what you don't understand here is he's got a lot of faith in those guys. While you guys have all written off, and maybe all of us have written off Zay Jones, he has not. Like, he thinks Zay Jones is going to come back and have a 75-catch season for him. So I think we take the Joe Burrow asking for Jamar Chase thought process instead of an offensive lineman, and we apply it to everybody. And I just don't know if that's really what he's asking. I think he loves the guys he's got. He has great relationships with the guys he's got. It's the one thing I was curious about with Calvin Ridley. I don't think he didn't like him. I just think, did they have that kind of connection, that kind of bond? And I think when you have that kind of bond on and off the field, I think you believe in the guy, and maybe falsely. Like, he might be better off not having Zay Jones at this point in his career, coming off injury, and having one of those guys to go get. But I'm not convinced that's what he would say.
Yeah, I don't say it because of the Joe Burrow thing. I just say it because if Trevor, in your scenario, and I just don't believe that Trevor Lawrence is going out of his way to say, hey, you know what? Can we get a corner?
Well, that's true.
Like, if you would ask me this question in the day before free agency, before we knew anything, I would say, yes, I would say Trevor would go in that room and say, hey, whether it's the draft or free agency, we need push there.
Yeah.
That's what I need. If you want us to do what, because and I said this a little bit yesterday, in my opinion, this thing all goes back to Travis Etienne, because we think Travis Etienne's damn good. We've talked about it for 2 years.
Yeah.
And we've said, how do they get him the ball more? Do they throw it to him? Can they do this? Can they do that? They got to figure out a way for him to run the ball consistently and get that push interior, because then that just opens everything else up. So I think if you're trying to figure out what helps Trevor Lawrence the most, and this is not going to be a groundbreaking take, it's running the football and doing it consistently. So that's where I would say if you can get that push in the middle, and that comes from your left guard too, whoever you decide to play there, you've got to be able to consistently move people the opposite direction rather than them coming back at Trevor Lawrence. So I think if it's now, I don't know what else it would be other than wide receiver, but I think overall, I think they probably cured his biggest need.
Yeah.
And they should be able to run the ball and more consistently move people.
Yeah, I think so too, and I think it's pretty clear. Like I would say for Trevor, hey, guys, if there's one move that I can make before the draft, Doug, call plays. Trevor's not saying that.
Right.
Trevor's going to be like, oh, we're good. I wonder if he would say, hey, guys, have you watched this Brock Bowers kid play?
That's true.
Like, I really wonder if he would say that. Like, what would it look like if we put Ingram and Bowers? I got the receivers. We're good. We got guys that can do different stuff.
Yeah.
No, but again, that's my point. And listen, the easy answer here is, go get a Dunze, Marvin Harrison, whatever. And then you got to be like, hey, guy, the rest of the room, Shad, Tony, Doug, Trent, be like, Trev, I know, like, we would love that too, but it's really not going to happen. Like, they're going to be off the board by number 7. Okay, so then what's next?
Right.
Well, is it okay? But I still think Brian Thomas is really good. I think we need a future left tackle. Or I think Brock Bowers is awesome. Let's go get him. Like, I mean, those are basically your 3 options, like guys, something like that. So, and I think he likes Cam, and I think he likes Walker a little, so I don't think he's going to do anything there. I really think, I think a receiver makes a lot of sense. I also think Bowers would be interesting in this conversation. He watches a lot of SEC football. He knows Georgia football a little bit too. And then I would add one more thing. And this is where we never consider this, but inside the building they do. And I know you said, don't go get us a corner. But the more they stack up that defense, the better it is for that offense.
Agreed. For
like
sure.
There is a domino there. They get them the ball back. They get everything else. Like I think he's excited about the Josh Allen extension, not just because he likes Josh, but because they're going to get some sack fumbles and have a short field from time to time.
So maybe the bigger thing is Trevor's in this, fictional scenario. Maybe the bigger thing is Trevor goes in there and says, "Hey, we're good. You don't need to do something crazy here. Like we like what we got. Go get us a good football player."
Yeah, Swerve's trying to sell tickets to London. Okay, That's not necessarily good for him. It's good for the operation. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm asking you about face of the franchise. You do something from a big picture CEO point of view. Maybe going to get Jared Verse. Maybe going to get Byron. Hey, I'm hearing awesome stuff about Byron Murphy at Clemson.
Right.
This guy's legit. Mm-hmm. If you can get him, just add him to the piece of the puzzle.
Yeah.
It might not be just on offense.
Yeah, no, that would make some sense. And I think if you're talking about he's looking for an offensive piece, if you would ask this question in 2020, right after Doug leaves Philadelphia, how could you not want the second tight end? Because it just makes too much sense. But I think when you've got the 2 years of evidence is they're not going to throw that guy the ball, it's easier to sit here and say, yeah, what's the point of drafting Brock Bowers? But if they were to end up with Brock Bowers somehow, some way, and Doug kind of, makes it a point to run with those 2 tight ends and get them both the ball, well then, like all bets are off. That's just extremely dangerous. But I just think it's hard after 2 years of going, well, Dan Arnold didn't get it. And yes, I know Brock Bowers probably better than Dan Arnold, right? Just saying. And last year, Brenton Strange, they didn't do much of that. He was a rookie. I get it. But if they were going to be committed to getting both those guys on the field and throwing them the football, well, then you don't need the other receiver. You've got that guy. I know you guys talked about that, but
yeah, and I think it's a fascinating discussion.
It's just hard to feel good, even though there is distant evidence that they could do well with it. It's hard after 2 years to say, yeah, that's the no-brainer move, because it feels like they're not doing it.
Yeah. The reason I pose it this way, and first of all, I think it's just fascinating from the face of the frame. I don't think we talk about that view enough. Like, what's it look like from Trevor's view, which they're asking. But I also don't know if we fully understand sometimes the inner building view versus the outer building view. And I mean, Trevor had no idea when I asked him the question about play calling that we had already asked Doug twice about play calling. He was like non-committal. He had no idea.
Right.
Like, he is not watching it that way. He's not consuming it that way. He doesn't think it's even a question. While everybody outside the building for 4 months has fired Press Taylor, and we've asked for Doug to call plays. Mm-hmm. Like, he doesn't. That's what I'm talking about. Like, whether you think that's good or bad, the bottom line is real life for them is not what's been our life for 3 months.
Right.
Disgusting.
Isn't that a wild thing?
Like, I don't think we stop and remember that enough.
They're just not in the same world that we're in.
They're not.
Like, they live here, but like when Brent comes on TV, they're like, what's on the other channel? Like, they don't.
Oh, wait a minute. Now, he watches.
No, he watches the regular newscast, but when Brent comes on, he's like, I don't need to hear Brent talking about me. I'm good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, they're just not living in that world.
Which you would, if I was talking about you, you'd be locked in.
I'd be like, oh, let's get Brent on. What channel again? No, I'm just kidding.
No, I mean, it's CBS 47 Fox 30. I didn't know that.
Yeah, gotcha.
But
programmed favorite on the TV. You know what I'm saying?
But isn't that wild? Like, we don't, like, we have to remind ourselves of that.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes, like, my questioning is a reminder of that. And I think we've really got loose with that, like, in our sports media world. Like, we are asking, I try not to do this, but I think sometimes we're asking questions that are basically like what Twitter's talking about.
Yeah.
Rather than like, okay, are these real questions I'm not a fan of that, but are these real questions inside the building?
Right.
And like, you'll see it on their face and be like, what the hell are you talking about?
Yeah.
But then there'll be other times they'll be like, they know exactly what you're talking about.
Right.
Like Doug laughed yesterday.
Yeah, he laughed at you. That was tough. But I mean, you said it last year multiple times, and granted, this wasn't always the case, but it felt like a decent amount of times last year, they had it schemed up. They just didn't execute.
Yeah.
We did that a lot last year. So like, Trevor's like, if I'm better, then we're better. You know what I mean? It's simple. So who knows? I mean, I think there's a lot of stuff that goes into the play calling that just we never see.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be as simple as delivery of how you speak. You know what I mean?
Well, it's communication. It's performance. It's also like in that. And they'll say that's why they call it the ultimate team game. Everybody's going to do their job, and you just don't know a lot of times who did their job wrong.
Right.
Like, you really don't know. This is what gets me about football. This is a fascinating part about football. Usually on the defensive side of things, as we break this stuff down, my favorite thing is people in our business say, I watched the tape. Yeah, right, whatever. Who gives a damn if you watch the tape? You had no idea what the freaking guy was supposed to do anyway.
Right.
You don't know the play call.
No.
So if you watch the tape, what are you basing it on? Like the guys like Orlovsky and others will be like, well, I didn't know what these guys were supposed to do here. They'll at least admit that. Mm-hmm. Other people are afraid to admit that. But you have, like, I always bring this play up. 3rd and 17 against the New England Patriots. Mm-hmm. When we do the Jacksonville documentary, we're going to ask every defensive player whose fault it was, and there'll be 5 different answers.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So whose fault was it? Well, we're going to tell you whose fault it is. Like,
true.
Right? I mean, we know, but they don't even know.
Right.
Like, I have asked people that question inside about 3rd and 17, and they have given me multiple answers over the years on whose fault that was. That's it in a nutshell for me.
Yeah.
Like, because the play that goes wrong to Calvin Ridley in Cleveland, was it him that broke off the route? Was it a miscommunication earlier in the huddle? Was it Trevor not hitting a spot? Was it the left guard that got leaky and Myles Garrett beat him?
Yeah.
Like, who knows? They know.
Yes.
That's
somebody knows.
And I think that's probably the biggest defense of Press Taylor over this last 6 months. We know, or we think we know, that other guys were messing up during the play.
Yes.
So then how the hell do we know if the play call was that bad?
True. Yeah, if you don't execute, how do you know?
That's been my biggest defense of Press. That, and you had to take, like, you literally just, like, ripped pages out of the playbook because you couldn't run a damn yard.
Well, that's one thing we definitely know. They couldn't.
Yeah, for whatever reason, they could not do it.
They couldn't do it. And that kind of, I don't know, Brent, I play a lot of Madden. I don't know if you do. There's like 70 inside runs in my playbook. So if you have to take 70 plays out, you're kind of in trouble.
Yeah. Well, and listen, I think K-Mac there,
yep.
There's an element of knowing your personnel strengths. I get that. And still calling inside run for no gain, we need a yard. Yeah, but they also abandoned that stuff, like against Tennessee. They abandoned the run because they had to. which means you can't even get a yard on the 1 yard line because you've ripped those pages out of the playbook. It's not even a threat anymore. You're not even trying to do it. So listen, there's a lot that goes into it. But I also find that part fascinating, which I also think, coming back full circle, we have no idea what Trevor really wants or needs. But I had plenty of people questioning over the last couple of months that now he's pissed that Calvin Ridley's gone. Is he really? He just got in front of a microphone on Tuesday that said, I love Jacksonville, want to be here forever. Yeah. Like, doesn't sound like a guy that's pissed off.
No,
we had Josh
really.
Allen on Friday. He's raving about everything going on inside the building. Is there really that much of a disconnect?
Who do you trust?
Just depends who you talk to, who you trust, right? Who you think. Who's got an agenda?
True. Josh don't have an agenda.
Josh, you don't have
got
an agenda.
a lot of money, though.
He's going to cash a check. That's what he's got, his agenda. All right, let's take a break. We'll get to Roy Robertson-Harris after the break. That went longer than I thought. What else is new?
What else is new? It's like old times, Brent.
Brent Austen Show with Casey Kurtz. Rob sitting in, too. We got everybody helping out here on the Action Sports Shacks 24/7 network. And by the way, no gate fees tomorrow, 2 o'clock. But before that, 1 o'clock, we'll have Cup Date at 1 and 1:30 a week with Action Sports Shacks. And then it's no gate fees presented by Nimnik Buick GMC. And if you sneak the network on Action News Jacks app and actionnewsjacks.com tomorrow morning between 6 and 10, well, you see something you haven't seen before.
Ooh.
There is that.
That's it.
We'll be back.
Okay.
It's a new logo, new branding, but with Bold City Heating and Air, it's an old school approach. One of the few locally owned and operated air conditioning businesses left in Jacksonville. And with that comes the perks we miss in the big business world. It's every customer counts kind of service, from when these trucks have pulled up to my home over the last couple of years and when they pull into your driveway as well. From communication to pricing to the actual service, everyone at Bold City Heating and Air cares about you. You know who is coming to your house. You know they will be well trained. And they will respect your home. Air conditioning convenience at boldcityac.com. The folks at Bold City Heating and Air also know your AC unit is important and can be a big expense. That's why they have financing to help. No payments, no interest for 12 months on new systems. $50 off any repairs. Stay safe, stay comfortable with Bold City Heating and Air at boldcityac.com. Homegrown in your hometown. Bold City Heating and Air.
Do you have ugly concrete around your home or business? Are you tired of concrete that is cracked, stained, or just plain ugly? Spartan Coatings' range of products provides a surface that is non-porous, easy to clean, antibacterial, and slip-resistant, all with superior durability.
Living in Florida nearly my whole life, I know the toll our weather can take on a garage floor. That's why I had Matt and the crew from Spartan Coatings transform this space. And the best part, they did it in one day.
It was a professional process from step 1. The polyurea and polyaspartic system provides superior flexibility, is 4 times stronger than epoxy coatings, and will withstand temperatures high and low. Plus, it comes with a 20-year warranty. Whether it's a garage floor, patio, pool deck, driveway, or your interior flooring, Spartan Coatings has you covered. To get started transforming your ugly concrete surfaces, call 904-671-3930 or visit SpartanCoatings.com today for your free quote.
In Northeast Florida, we love hanging out on the back patio, maybe grilling out lunch or dinner with the family, enjoying the good weather, or maybe enjoying the big game on the TV. Or maybe your favorite team in town, the Action Sports Shacks team. This is great, except for when it's really hot or the bugs start coming out. But what if you didn't have to worry about that? Titan Outdoor Solutions will make your outdoor area a comfortable spot any time of the day, any time of the year. This makes too much sense. Titan Outdoor Solutions can give your home an upgrade. Customized pergolas, awnings, controlled shade, even retractable screens. The solution to beating the heat and the bugs and getting more use out of your home is Titan Outdoor Solutions. And this can even help prevent storm damage at your home. Living in Florida and living in your home is already good. Now make it great. Quality products, custom work, locally owned and operated. Visit TitanShuttersAndScreens.com or call 904-484-7580.
Hey everyone, Olivia Tasley here from Action Sports Jacks to tell you all the different ways you can watch our new 24/7 network. 3 easy steps. You don't even need a pen and paper to write it down. Step number 1, download the app. Search Action News Jacks in your app store either on your phone or your smart TV. Then, once you're on the app, click on that little drop-down menu in the upper left-hand corner with the 3 little lines. That'll show you these options, and boom, right here, click Action Sports Jacks 24/7, and you will be brought to our continuous stream channel. That app can be accessed through all these different platforms, whether you have Roku, Fire TV, Smart TV, Apple TV, or Google TV. You can find our app. Now, if you don't have access to the app, don't worry, we still got you covered. We're across all social media platforms from Facebook, Instagram, X, YouTube, Twitch. We have a podcast channel. Plus, check out our short reels on our TikTok. Action Sports Jacks 24/7. It's on all the time and everywhere.
It's the place we party in football season with Jaguars All Access.
Welcome to Spring Sports Brewery, everybody. Say hello to our guest tonight. That is Trevor Lawrence.
You can bring your party or event to Spring Sports Brewery in Springfield any day and any time. Rehearsal dinners, corporate events, birthdays. Here at Strings, you can enjoy the inside area and the outside area. Good for any weather, good for any occasion. Watch the games, play the games, shoot some hoops. Beer? Yeah, they have that. Plenty of choices. And sure, this is a brewery, but Strings is also a restaurant, and the food is fantastic. A full menu made from scratch meals. And if you need String Sports Brewery to help with a party at your place, they cater too. Family, beer, food, sports. Spring Sports Brewery in Springfield.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austen Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network.
Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network, the Brent and Austen Show. Brent Martineau, off somewhere. Austen Lane, off in Las Vegas. I had to fight every intrusive thought in my head right there, bringing the show back. Because usually, back in the day, I'd say something different than Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network. I'm not going to say it now. The OGs know. But I almost slipped up and said the wrong thing. I'm Casey Kurtz, by the way. I appreciate you riding with us today and every day for the Brent and Austen Show. I would say a new time, but it's not really a new time anymore. You guys are used to it. New time for me, 10 to 1. Right here. And you can watch it replaying all day. Action News Jacks app, actionnewsjacks.com. The draft is a couple of days away. A lot of conversation about what the Jags can do, what they will do, what they might do. And more of that as we go into the Shock Your Mock quarterfinals or semifinals, some sort of finals after this. But we talk about position groups that the Jags could take. And defensive line has been a conversation. Brent talked about it yesterday. Could be a little undervalued. Nobody's really thinking about the defensive line possibility. And that's because, well, the Jags have a pretty stout defensive line. You bring in Eric Armstead. You have a Devon Hamilton who didn't really get a fair run of it last season with the injuries. And then you have Roy Robertson-Harris, who, I'm not going to lie, during the time at the other place we did the show, I've been critical at times of Roy Robertson-Harris. They decided to pay him, and it didn't look like you got much more for what you paid for with Roy Robertson-Harris. But one thing I will not ever argue about Roy Robertson-Harris is his impact in the community and with his foundation inspiring greatness. There was a golf tournament just a couple of days ago, yesterday, actually, and one of my favorite members of Action Sports Jacks, that's Marcel Robinson, caught up with Roy Robertson-Harris at his tournament.
Man, it was good, man. A lot of support, a lot of love, a lot of sponsors and just players coming out and supporting, man. I'm blessed, man. Blessed that everybody was able to come out and have a good time. Golf is golf, man. You know, it's a love-hate game for a lot of people like myself. But it was a good turnout, man, and I'm happy that we were able to get something started. Excited for next year's event and start making an impact in the community.
We've talked about that impact in the community that you've been looking to get into. That's something that we spoke about, kind of in the season. And, why golf? Obviously it's something that you're interested in, but, why golf as the first kind of really sort of to this degree, event for the foundation?
I feel like golf is just really big in Florida. Didn't really play golf myself until I moved here, but I figured it could generate a little bit of a buzz around here, and that it did, man. A lot of guys showed up and came to just enjoy themselves, kick back for a little bit on a Monday. As much as people would rather be at work, just come and have a good time, and it's for a good cause too. And so I'm excited to continue to do this in the future.
Sticking with just that impact in the community, obviously you guys, a lot of people see you guys as players, but you guys are in the community, obviously with the Jags events, and everyone kind of has, some sort of foundation. But, for you yourself, speak a little bit more as to why it was important for you to really make kind of a big impact and leave a footprint, here in the city of Jacksonville.
Well, since I've been here, a lot of people here have shown me love, shown my family love and respect, and I just want to get back to this town, man. Nothing bad to say about this city. Golf has been great. The people here are great. And a little bit about myself, man. I grew up in a single family household, a single mom household, and so I'm just looking to give back to the community by assisting with single mothers and inner city youth, people that are less fortunate, just trying to lend a helping hand any way possible. And this was just a kickoff start to being able to do that. So. And a lot of people, like I said, that came to help out and show love. Really appreciative, and I'm blessed to be able to be a blessing.
What's phase one been like for you guys back at the stadium?
It's good, man. It's good to be back around the guys. Good to get back to work with the guys. Working on the offseason by yourself can get a little boring sometimes, but just being back around the guys and just being in the locker room again and learning the new defense. Obviously, we've got a new staff on this side of the ball. Just being able to be back with those guys and learn and continue to be a good pro. It's been good. Been enjoying it. Also been enjoying golf since I have half days. So but it's going to be a good year. Take it a day at a time and just enjoy it.
What are the thoughts of, one of those key new pieces, like you just talked about, defensive coordinator? What are your thoughts on Nielsen so far?
This has been good, man. It's been installing some good stuff. We're obviously just getting started, so there's a lot more that we're going to be getting into. But it's been good, man. Adding Armstead's been a good look for us, so I think that's going to be smooth. And then obviously bringing Josh and Foye back and getting them, their deals done. I think that's awesome, man. I'm happy for those guys. They work really hard for what they have. So, man, it's been good.
Big thing that everyone's talking about this week, obviously, is the NFL draft. It doesn't really have as much of an effect on you, obviously being a returning player, but there is going to be a new incoming player coming in. What some of you guys are at the stadium obviously doing some things, but do you guys watch the draft? Like what's the process for you guys that are already on the team with the draft?
Me personally, I don't watch the draft because I was undrafted. But I mean, it's much respect to the guys that get drafted early or late. You're blessed and you get to play the game that you love. Don't take it for granted. Enjoy the moments with your family because it is life-changing. But it's going to be exciting to see those guys come in and be able to chase their dreams and be where they wanted to be since they were children.
Not many people talking about you guys and the Jags and everything, which is I feel like it's kind of something that you guys want.
Me personally, I don't really care about being talked about. It's all about what you do in the white lines. You got to go out there and play. It's a tough division. Houston has been loading up. Indy and Tennessee, they continue to be good teams. You got to play ball, man. There's no point in hype in the offseason. At the end of the day, you have to play ball, and that's our job. Everybody else can talk and do all that other stuff. We have to play ball. We focus on ourselves, focus on the guys that we have on our team, and just do our job.
How'd you shoot out there?
Let's talk about that later. No, we had a good time though, man. It's golf is hit or miss, but I've learned to not get mad at myself when I have a bad swing because I seen Rory have a bad chip one time, and it's like, man, if pros are shooting like this, then I might be doing all right. But it's a good time, man. Can't complain. The weather was really nice today. I was kind of nervous with the rain last night, but everything cleared up. The wind's blowing and sun's out, so blessed, man. Man, it was good, man. A lot of support.
There we go. That is Roy Robertson-Harris, Jaguars defensive tackle at his golf tournament yesterday. Marcel Robinson catching up with him, talking a little football, talking about his charity and community, which is really kind of cool. On Jaguars All Access this year, he talked about that, being raised by a single mom, and he's obviously given back to the community here in that respect. And good luck with that foundation as he continues to grow it. He's a great story now. Speaking of draft time, undrafted free agent who's now ballooned into tens and tens of $1 million extensions. Mm-hmm. Well, it's really, and it happens a lot in the National Football League. Probably got to be more than even any other sport. Baseball used to have so many rounds. Now they have less rounds, so I think there's more of a chance that it could happen.
Yeah.
basketball is interesting. Do you get a lot of just...
I feel like never.
Never, right? Because second round
don't even
picks
get
don't
second
even do
rounders
well.
outside of Jokic.
But I do wonder if anybody's like, do you get your signed to a 10-day contract and stick guys? Do we have more of those than we know?
It definitely happens, but I'll be
Jeremy
wrong.
Lin was like a one of those guys, right?
Yeah, Jeremy
that
Lin.
turned into a 15-minute.
Yeah, I mean, you get the
more than
15-minute ones. Yeah, you get those all the time, but I feel like you never get the star that's made as much money as Roy Robertson-Harris has made.
Yeah, the NFL's wild like that. And there's so much a premium on guys being so good and big, fast, strong, and all this other stuff. Yet, and I'm not saying Roy Robertson-Harris is a late bloomer because he's probably always been a big guy. But for whatever reason, passed through the system and then was able to morph an opportunity into what has really become a pretty nice NFL career. And I actually think Roy Robertson-Harris is a big part of why I like the Jags defense so much this upcoming season. Because he's not a bad player. I don't know if he impacted enough on a consistent basis.
He did not,
but
in my opinion.
He's going to be a tremendous guy to put in the rotation.
Yeah, I said a little of this before we went to the interview with Marcel, but like when you extended him, I remember coming off of the playoffs 2 years ago now when you were working on that extension. I remember Josh Allen saying that he was unblockable. Remember that?
Yeah.
And
I do remember that.
They extend him, and to be honest, I think, and I could have been wrong about this, when we were talking about after that playoff run, they ended up running it back with most of them. But earlier in that season, we were talking about, all right, where are you saving money in the offseason? And I thought he was a guy that, you could have, because did you get something? Sure. Did you get a ton consistently? No, you didn't. And so I thought after they extended him going into last year, okay, this is going to be the step. You didn't really get it. Like, there wasn't a lot of that unblockableness. There was at times, but not consistent enough for him to be like the guy in that front. Now, to your point, when you put him in the rotation, you have to love it from that point of view. Like, I think as a guy who was out there more times than not, questionable, but now you have a guy like Armstead to do that, and then when you need to spell him, bring in a Roy Robertson-Harris, you have to feel good about that.
Yeah, I think... I do feel good about that. You can make the case, are you paying them too much for that? Or whatever. I think they have a nice rotation. I actually can't wait to see how they utilize them. Again, Nielsen is a defensive line guy. How do they put the mix and matches together? They have a lot of athleticism on that front. I think they have a lot of versatility on that front. I think Trayvon Walker continues to be one of those guys that could be versatile. Yep. How do they match people up and how they're able to do it and what kind of looks they can give? Kind of fun. I think it's fun. I think they're a really good front, man. And they could get better in this draft. But I think they got a really good front. I think their linebackers are good. I think they obviously need a little more on their depth at corner and who's going to be opposite Tyson. They got to get better play. Like, we just don't know the play out of the cornerback position. And outside of that, we don't know the play out of Antonio Johnson at safety. But corners and safety, now I think I know how Andre Sisco's going to play.
Yeah, you feel good about that. That's really the one thing you do know.
Yeah, I feel like that is the one thing. Well, it's more if you know Foye Oluokun. I think you know Josh.
I'm talking about secondary.
In the secondary, it's probably the one thing you know. You're right. Yeah. So there's a lot of reason to really like that Jaguars defense, I think. And after the draft, we might say that even more.
Yeah, I think there is reason. I think you know what you're going to get from a few guys, but you say you think the linebackers are going to be pretty good. I know Oluokun's going to be pretty good. Do we know Devin Lloyd's going to be pretty good?
Well,
I know he needs to be good.
I know they have, it's almost like if he's not and they have to replace him with Muma, I think they can be steady there. And heck, you even have Ventrell Miller there. Like, they've got bodies enough to play those positions.
It's not a disaster.
Where it's not, yeah. And I think Lloyd's going to be an interesting guy for me coming into the season. I think he has star potential. He hasn't shown it.
No.
And talk about a lack of consistency. Is that who he is? Is he not played... Is he just not put in the greatest position? Is Nielsen going to put him in a better position? Is even the 4-3 a better look for him? Like, all these answers. I have no idea. We'll find out. Is just year 3 going to be better for him? He's added weight. They say he's going to rush the passer a little bit more.
Good.
Like, all these things. I don't know. I will continue to say this about Devin Lloyd. I really like the guy. I have no idea if he's good.
Does anyone
after
have
2 years
more to prove on their defense than him?
Good call.
Maybe Tyson because of the injury thing.
Well, yeah, I think you could label. First of all, I think you're probably right in Lloyd. I think Tyson is up there, and I also believe even Devon Hamilton coming off. Remember, he got big money.
That's right.
And then he had that's in the rear view, we think. So now it's time for him to go perform at a big level or a bigger level, right, or a consistent level. So I think they have a few guys, which I like. I like when you have those guys that have something to prove, which is really good. Let's take a timeout. We come back. Shock Your Mock semifinals. We'll tell you who advanced out of the quarterfinals, who's going to the semifinals, and then you vote for the next day, and we'll determine a winner into the finals, and then you vote for another day, and then we've got our champion of Shock Your Mock 2024. Of an update, Austen Lane is going to join us from Vegas tomorrow and the rest of the week. Had to do some things when he got to Vegas today that took a little longer than anticipated. And I'm not talking like slot machines.
Yeah, that's what
I'm
I'm
talking like fight stuff.
I would have never got out of the airport. I'd be like, there's slot machines right there, Brent. I'd be like, we don't even need to go. We'll just wait for the flight here.
We'll be back on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network. Everyone loves a good game night. Here you don't have to be the host. You don't have to clean up. They bring the food and drinks to you, and you can watch whatever you want on the big screens. It's more than a card room. It's a night full of fun with friends. Best Bet Jacksonville, Orange Park, and now the newest location here in St. Augustine, right off 95 at exit 311. A brand new clean room, a full bar and menu, my favorite sushi in town. And I love the fries too. You don't have to just play poker at Best Bet. That's why I come over here to the table games and play one card poker. That's a pretty good card and a win. One card poker is like war as a kid, you against the dealer. And this isn't the only fun table game to play. A friendly staff, a lot of fun. It's a good night out at Best Bet Jacksonville, Orange Park, and the newest location in St. Augustine. You can be a serious player or a novice. It doesn't matter. If winning equals fun, you're a winner every time at Best Bet. I'll save you a seat, and I'll see you down here at Best Bet St. Augustine.
Do you have ugly concrete around your home or business? Are you tired of concrete that is cracked, stained, or just plain ugly? Spartan Coatings' range of products provides a surface that is non-porous, easy to clean, antibacterial, and slip-resistant, all with superior durability.
Living in Florida nearly my whole life, I know the toll our weather can take on a garage floor. That's why I had Matt and the crew from Spartan Coatings transform this space. And the best part, they did it in one day.
It was a professional process from step one. The polyurea and polyaspartic system provides superior flexibility, is 4 times stronger than epoxy coatings, and will withstand temperatures high and low. Plus, it comes with a 20-year warranty. Whether it's a garage floor, patio, pool deck, driveway, or your interior flooring, Spartan Coatings has you covered. To get started transforming your ugly concrete surfaces, call 904-671-3930 or visit SpartanCoatings.com today for your free quote.
I like to say everybody has a story, and sometimes we're a part of other people's stories. That's the case here at Nimnicht Buick GMC. My family and the Nimnicht family. We've purchased 6 different vehicles from Nimnicht Buick GMC. Maybe you're in the market for a truck. Well, let me tell you about the GMC Sierra. I absolutely love mine. I've had a couple of these. This one's a 2020, but right now on 2024 GMC Sierras here at Nimnicht Buick GMC, there's special financing. A year ago, we purchased a GMC Terrain for the kids. Financing rates as low as 0.9% for eligible buyers on Terrains and no payments for 90 days. Looking for used instead of new? Buy a used car with the Car Bravo program. Nimnicht Buick GMC certifies all makes and models. Let the #1 Buick GMC dealer in Jacksonville take care of you and your family. Come on out and see the showroom, meet the fantastic people, or shop online at nimnichtbuickgmc.com. Nimnicht, your friends in the car business since 1941. GMC, we are professional grade.
Thank you for making Action News Jacks the best in Jacks and Folio's Best of Jacks 2023. Best TV station, Best TV newscast, Best TV morning show. Chandler Morgan voted Best TV anchor. The Chief, Mike Burrish, voted Best meteorologist. And Brent Martineau voted Best TV sports anchor. And while you're on the go, Best news website and Best local blog, The Burrish Blog. Thank you for making Action News Jacks local coverage you can count on.
It's a new logo, new branding, but with Bold City Heating and Air, it's an old school approach. One of the few locally owned and operated air conditioning businesses left in Jacksonville. And with that comes the perks we miss in the big business world. It's every customer counts kind of service, from when these trucks have pulled up to my home over the last couple of years and when they pull into your driveway as well. From communication to pricing to the actual service, everyone at Bold City Heating and Air cares about you. You know who's coming to your house. You know they will be well trained and they will respect your home. Air conditioning convenience at boldcityac.com. The folks at Bold City Heating and Air also know your AC unit is important and can be a big expense. That's why they have financing to help. No payments, no interest for 12 months on new systems. $50 off any repairs. Stay safe, stay comfortable with Bold City Heating and Air at boldcityac.com. Homegrown in your hometown. Bold City Heating and Air.
When you think sports, you think Action Sports Jacks, the official station of the Jaguars, on location for every game. But the most experienced team in town doesn't stop there. From high school football to the big events in the area, Action Sports Jacks is always on. Now, we take that to a new level. Action Sports Jacks 24/7 is around-the-clock coverage of the teams you love and the moments you can't miss. The best local sports in Jacksonville on Action Sports Jacks 24/7.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austen Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network.
All right, give us a brief rundown of the NHL NBA playoffs. I feel like we got to get a little bit of that in. I couldn't believe when I think when I left here, the Lakers were up by like 20.
They did. They were.
And they ended up losing on a buzzer beater.
Yes, they lost.
So is that series feels like it's already over. Like they got to win that game.
Yeah, it's a wrap. No, the Lakers are done. Shout out to them, though. They're playing tough against Denver. You can't blow a 20-point lead. Come on now. But yeah, that one's...
The NBA is so goofy, man.
That one's a wrap. I think all... Who else played last night? I think all those ones
Knicks
are a wrap.
we talked about.
Okay, so the Knicks are a wrap. 76ers ain't coming back. Sorry, Coos. Nuggets are a wrap. They're moving on. Magic suck. That's a wrap. Sorry, anybody who may support the Magic. Also, just if you're interested, I have tickets for the game. Please buy them from me because nobody else is.
For who?
The Magic game.
Oh, really?
The first game in Orlando.
You have tickets?
Yep.
You bought them?
Yep.
How much did you pay for them?
Not much. $120-something total for both.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
And what day is the game?
Wednesday? Tomorrow? Or Thursday, maybe?
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway.
Can't go.
Anyway, yeah, you're busy. Suns Timberwolves is interesting because I think people believe in the Suns, with the somewhat super team they have. The Timberwolves are good, though. So I think they're probably the better option. The Pacers, if they show up like they did the other night, no Giannis, Dame drops 35 in the first half. That was crazy. And then Clippers, they're up 1-0, but they don't have Kawhi. Does that come back to hurt them? Because I think the Mavericks are good, so we'll see how that plays out. NHL-wise, I hate the Maple Leafs. They won last night. That's unfortunate. Hurricanes is a wrap. The Islanders aren't good enough. The Stars were the number one seed in the West. You may not actually know that, but the Stars were the number one seed in the West. Crazy enough, they lose last night to the defending champs. And then the Oilers might actually do it, Brent. The Oilers with maybe the best dude to ever play the sport in Connor McDavid. Then you've got another dude who's extremely good, very talented, very expensive team. They never actually get out of the first round. Brent, they may get out of the first round this year, and that's it. They're not winning anything. But they may actually win a playoff series, so shout out to the Oilers. Lightning stink. They're going to get rolled by the Panthers. The Rangers are going to roll the Capitals, I believe. Winnipeg and the Avalanche is actually interesting. Avalanche are very good. Winnipeg, sneaky good. The Canucks, if you've ever heard of them, they play really far away from here in Vancouver. They're actually good, believe it or not. And then once again, the Maple Leafs stink, and I hate them.
This is actually a pretty good hockey rundown right there. That was pretty good.
Yeah, I tried.
Do you believe Carolina came back and won that game? Islanders were up 3-0.
Yep.
I was actually watching a lot of hockey yesterday and learned a lot. Like, Toronto had not led over the Bruins all year.
Yeah.
And then beat them.
So did you watch a little bit of that game?
I did.
Okay. So I don't know if you've watched any of the other games, but I watch some hockey from time to time. Did you notice when you watched the Maple Leafs game, they kept showing the fans out in the Maple Leafs Square?
Yes.
Why? I didn't see him show the Lightning fans or the Golden Knights fans or the Kings fans or any other team that's been on the road ever. They've never showed the fans. But Toronto, we got to get them on. We got to get them on, Brent. Toronto's finally doing it in the playoffs. We got to get the fans on. 3 or 4 times they score. Brent, Matthews scores. Replay, fans. Close-up replay, fans. Shot of the bench, back to the fans. I hate it, man. I just, everything that has to do with the Maple Leafs, I'm over it. And I hate Boston. Don't get me wrong. They're the second worst. But hopefully Toronto loses.
Interesting.
Stop showing the damn fans. Nobody cares.
I guess so.
Nobody cares about the Toronto fans. Sorry if there's Toronto fans listening. And actually, I'm not sorry.
But are they showing that because they're developing the story that they haven't won in forever?
Of course, but who cares?
Okay.
There's plenty of miserable fans around the world. Everywhere but Kansas City, it feels like. Everybody else is miserable.
By the way, the Boston fans don't have any reason to be miserable yet. I mean, they're always just miserable, I guess. But
yeah, they're the worst. Toronto.
All right, we have our first Shock Your Mock coming up here.
So these are the semifinalists.
These are the semifinalists. I've confused myself. So.
What do you mean you think, Brent?
Okay, so here's what's happening.
How is Blake Fisher? All right, go on.
So we had 4 quarterfinals, and this is something crazy about the human psychology. Mm-hmm. Every mock that was on the left of our vote won.
Really? I definitely.
Is that just the way we read it?
No.
And do we kind of lean that way without even knowing? Is that a subconscious thing?
No, I definitely voted right multiple times, so it looks like I got outvoted. That is pretty weird. Because, yeah.
So this is, I believe this is Tax Doctor and Jay Collier. I got to go back and confirm.
Oh, my goodness. Okay, so while you do that, these are two.
I should have put their names on.
Really?
Like, what? Well, why can't they just put the names on there on these sites? Like, can't we have a spot? I guess I could have done it in post-production.
You could have. A lot easier than they could have.
It is, because now I'm going back and figured out, okay, did I do the right ones? It's easy to get lost. But the bottom line is, these are our 2 semifinalists, and I think they are Tax Doctor and Jay Collier.
Okay, so it appears that Texas has made it, horns up, horns down. Taking 2 Texas players in the first 2 picks has made it to the semifinal. That's a bold play. Also, the Colorado State football player is certainly a question. Did get the kicker from Stanford. I remember I was a big fan of that. And then on the left, Brian Thomas at 17. Trade down in the one on the right. So that's intriguing. Brian Thomas, 17 on the other one. Blake Fisher, who again is late for his chores. That's an injury waiting to happen. Dwayne Carter, you know how I feel about him. Just 2 wide receivers in the one on the left, one from UCF, and then Brian Thomas. So, there's something to be excited about for both.
Yeah, I think there you go. You can vote. You can vote in here. You can put semi number 1, or just even put number 1 and then left, right. That's how we do this.
Yep.
And then on Twitter is the easiest place to vote. There's an actual poll question, left, right. It's very elementary.
Yep.
But actually pretty simple.
Yeah.
And we have that up right now. And number 2 is coming up right here. See, and maybe now I'm going to start saying everybody has to have a watermark on there.
Okay.
Because Delphonic, I can identify his.
Okay.
He's got the easiest one to identify.
Yep. A classic Brent Martineau moment with the Trent Baalke situation. There it is. Look at that. Brent being played like a puppet. Never forget. So you got Delphonic on the left. Is this Sawyer on the right?
That is Sawyer.
Sawyer, bro, I like you. How? They're not picking 9th. It's not going to happen.
I know, but I didn't control the vote. Somebody liked it, so.
Listen, I'll be happy if Sawyer wins the pizza party, but I feel like there's got to be some rule change for Shock Your Mock 25 if you guys get that far, because it's just not going to happen.
Well, probably the rule change that I think we identified pretty early on this process, no trades.
No trades is good.
So trades, if you trade, you get, you're out.
Sawyer should apply to be GM of somebody if he can figure out how to get neighbors and not give up.
And by the way, don't misadvertise this. The Donato's draft day pizza party is not the winner of this necessarily.
Oh.
Yeah, that one you got to pick Thursday's first round pick, right?
What do you get if you win Shock Your Mock?
I haven't decided yet.
Are you serious right now?
Yeah.
So nobody knows what they're playing for?
No. Up in the air.
Well, it's going to be a Kilkenny situation. Your Super Bowl hat's going to be in my garage for 8 months.
We'll get it. No, I'll be in charge of this one, so you'll definitely get something.
Can you send Kilkenny a Super Bowl hat, please?
See, they could kill Kenny. Look, he's voting. He's got the first votes in.
See, Delphonic's got the right idea. I know I'm losing. Next Shock Your Mock, I'm trading multiple firsts. Yeah, that's what you got to do.
Left and left. See, look, we're already on to it. Left.
He's voting for himself, of course.
Delphonic for the win.
Those Dream 18 hats are clean.
Delphonic wants a Dream 18 hat. I'll get you a Dream 18 hat.
I had to work so hard to get my second Dream 18
two
hat.
of them, man.
I was still working for you when that happened.
I just got shirts in yesterday for Action Sports Jax 24/7 Network.
Of course you did.
Yeah.
That's the least shocking thing I've heard today.
Yeah, so we just got those. So maybe that's who gets a winning prize.
No way. All they get's a shirt?
Well, what do you want? I mean, they get a couple of weeks of promotion for their Twitter handle or
all
whatever.
right. Listen, that's fine. And don't get me wrong, pizza party idea, love it, right? But all you got to do to get the pizza party is 1, be right, and then 2, win the draw of the people that were right.
Okay, but that adds a little intrigue on.
Sure, but Shock Your Mock, you go through 4 different levels. Like, this is the NCAA
I should give
tournament.
the pizza party to this winner instead? We can do that.
No.
Makes it easier on me.
I just think that if you win Shock Your Mock, you should get something better than not that the T-shirts aren't going to be great, by the way. I'm sure they're fantastic. Yeah. But I feel like if you win 4 different times, you should get something better than a shirt. That's all I'm saying.
All right. Well, maybe we'll ante up the prize a little bit. Still haven't even paid off the March Madness bracket.
Who won?
I think I owe Z Fortner like a little prize too.
Z Fortner, huh?
He only beat me. The idea there was you got to beat all of us, and you get ramped up prizes or a level of prizes.
Uh-huh.
Mostly to go spend down at Best Bet St. Augustine.
Collectively, as a team that I'm not really on anymore, we are terrible at
paying off
anything.
Oh, look at that. Stage being built. 30 seconds left in the show, by the way. Good to have you along, Casey Kurtz. We appreciate you being here.
Yeah.
Hamby back tomorrow. We'll check in with Austin from Las Vegas. Might have some special guests joining us, including Austin Reed, who hopes to hear his name tomorrow. Not tomorrow, but this weekend. He could join us tomorrow. We'll have a full lineup tomorrow with Cup Date and a week with us and no gate fees starting at 1 o'clock right after our show here on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network. And we'll see you on TV tonight, CBS 47 and Fox 30. Have a great Tuesday, everybody.